It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Thursday, February the 29th.
Yeah.
Wow. Leap year happening.
Yeah.
This is exciting. Maybe, kind of.
Do you know anyone that has a leap year birthday? I don't.
No, I don't. In fact, I already looked up famous February 29th birthdays. And after Dinah Shore, I'm kind of lost.
Dennis Farina, I guess. That's probably not the guy I'm thinking of, not the actor.
I'm not really sure who Dennis Farina is.
All right, I'm drawing a blank on that. Anyway, died in 2013. Oh, Anthony Robbins.
Oh, the motivational speaker guy.
Yeah, right. I see that. Yeah, I see that in Dinah Shore.
I guess. I guess you gotta. I guess when you're born on the leap year, you gotta stay motivated. You gotta do that for yourself. It's just a different thing. I mean, I've never understood one thing about leap year, and I'll tell you what it is right now. How in the world did anyone, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, figure out that we need an extra day every 4 years?
I know. It would really be chaos to our calendar in our lifetime if we didn't have a leap day. It's not like daylight saving time or that argument that's going on right now. I think I read a stat we'd have Christmas in July eventually. I think it would keep things fresh and unpredictable, but that's generally not good for society as a whole. It could create anarchy, I suppose. But yeah, we've got to adjust the Gregorian calendar occasionally.
I mean, here's the thing. It takes the Earth 365.24 days to orbit the sun. Okay, so that's like 365 days, 5 hours. I'm reading. Believe me when I say this is a need-to-know thing, and I don't need to know it. But so those extra hours, every 4 years, you get an extra day. And again, I'm just going to go back. How did anyone figure this out in the dark ages? I mean, people have recognized the need for leap years for literally thousands of years. How? I don't understand how anybody figured out. I still can't get over how somebody looked at a tobacco leaf and said, let's roll that up and smoke it. Let's give ourselves a nice little buzz from that leaf.
Right.
I don't know how anybody looked
at it.
Yeah, I mean, how did the first hot cup of tea come about? I don't know how anybody does anything. I still don't know how bridges work. How in the world did somebody without electricity, did somebody without a compass, how did anybody ever figure out the leap year? It's just too much. It freaks me out. But I do know this. If we didn't do this, then there would be 25 days every 100 years where the calendar would shift. And because I'm not going to live more than 100 years, I don't care.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, who knows in our lifetime what it would shift, but I don't know. It kind of makes for something fun every 4 years.
I guess so. So like you said, we don't really know. Candace, do you know anybody whose birthday is today? Has that ever been a part of your life?
Nope.
Yeah.
No leap
I would like to hear from a leap baby because I wonder about things like, I've heard stories before like, bartenders said, this is obviously a fake ID because it says your birthday is on February 29th. There must be some, is there a pain in the butt? Are there things that happen and you're like, just being a leap baby, there are realities that you have that no one else has? Or is it not just, or is it just something that comes up every 4 years you joke about? 651-989-ROCK. That's the talk and text line this morning. We got to have one leap baby out there. Otherwise, this is pretty damn rare.
It's kind of like every year is Y2K. You got to wonder if the computer form you're filling out or if anything you're entering will even acknowledge your birthday, because there are DMVs that still have issues with it. Like they won't issue a driver's license. And then people have to go in and override it every year. It's a bizarre thing. I know that every time, just the idea that every time you have a birthday, someone's like, you're only 20 when you're 80. I'd be tired of that after a while. It would just be kind of an obnoxious thing to endure. I mean, there's worse things to endure, sure, but the fact is, every 4 years, you just have a little bit of an extra. Hey, man, what's this all about? I don't know. It's just to me, the idea that anybody figured anything out long before there were, like say microwave ovens, I still don't understand. Don't even get me started on how we put a man on the moon. How in the world did anyone figure it out that we need an extra day every 4 years.
Well, some would argue that we didn't put a man on the moon, but that would get you punched in the face by Buzz Aldrin if you suggested that. No, it's this stuff is behind us. But you go back to Stonehenge, is probably, I mean, it was set up probably as a sun calendar. They hypothesized that they put that out there so that they could read the sun, walk into the center of Stonehenge at various times of the year, and whatever the sun was peeking through, whichever little rock it was sneaking through, then that meant it was time to plant or just the calendar. I don't know. I don't even know either. This is beyond us. This is some pretty heady stuff.
I think someone in England had a wicked sense of humor and the ability to move giant boulders. I think that's all that was.
They were just showing off.
Never bought into a single idea of what Stonehenge could actually mean, other than somebody. The Brits, they're dry as all get out. They were like, "Oh, this is going to mess with them forever," and they just went for it.
I think we did a Black Sabbath song. They named it, was it Black Sabbath or was it an Ozzy tune? They named it something, and just because it was mysterious. Oh, NIB. Mm-hmm. I think we covered that back on Valentine's Day. They went with NIB. I forget which band member it was that named it N.I.B. Why'd you name it that? I don't know. We just thought it would be a lark. And for, decades, Black Sabbath fans were trying to determine what cryptic message that meant within their lives. Yeah, maybe it's just they're just messing with us, just jerking our tail.
There's just something about those.
It was just about Bill Ward's beard or something. Like that's what it.
Right.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's something about those Midland Brits. Yeah. You just got to keep your eye on them. That's all it comes down to.
Effing with people. All right, we're going to take a little break. We're going to come on back with more of the KQ Morning Show. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show on a leap year, February the 29th. Good morning. A little later in the show today, we're going to be letting two listeners play to win tickets to see the Tedeschi Trucks Band. They're at the Armory August 2nd and 3rd. And oh my, that's as good a band as you're going to see at any time. Let's think about this for a minute. Susan Tedeschi, Derek Trucks, husband and wife, playing music together many, many, many years now, on stage, off stage, very harmonious. They're the most un-Fleetwood Mac-like band ever. No dysfunction, just real happy people. Got a good thing going, raising kids together, making great music together. Go figure. But I have to imagine, and these people are friends of mine. I've known them both for a long time, but I have to imagine every now and again they just have to look at each other and go, how did I end up here? Just because anybody in any relationship does. I mean, there's a reason that the Talking Heads song, well, how did I get here? There's a reason that resonates with every generation.
Yeah.
We all find someone we fall in love with, and you think this is great. It's always going to be good. And then one day you wake up and they're doing something. They're making your breakfast, and they're doing something wrong. They're cooking something. They're listening to the wrong record, and then suddenly you're just like, I got to go. I got to jump off this balcony right now.
I mean, you start, for me, I got into a relationship, the relationship I'm in now, very late in life. I mean, after 50 is pretty, I went through a whole bunch of relationships before that, and I thought I'm just not finding the right person. And then I realized there is no exact match. There is no perfect synchronicity with another human being. That's just the law of averages doesn't just allow for that to happen. That would be greater than winning the lottery, and it would be weird if someone was in that type of relationship. There's going to be something somewhere along the line that drives you a little nutty. And let's not forget, I mean, Seinfeld explored this thoroughly, and I'm sure many other sitcoms did as well, that the things that you loved at the beginning, those little differences, turn into glaring examples of why this person drives you crazy sometimes a little bit later on in life. Maria, big health food nut. I thought that was cool when we met. I'm post 50. I should be eating a little bit better. It's something I've always wanted to do, but it turns out I don't really want to do it because I like taste. I like flavor. I like the foods I've grown up with. I like to pig out, and I like red meat and salt and all that fun stuff. And, greens are only going to take you so far in life, but That's one example. But, you try to edge a little bit that way, and then every once in a while she'll, cuddle up with a pepperoni pizza with me,
Yeah, 30 plus years in for me and Rosemary. And I think we just met in the middle on so much over the years. These days, there's really not all that many things that one of us is really into that the other isn't. But I do remember early on, I never saw them coming. Like, I never recognized the warning signs. I would just be doing something I'd be the happiest guy in the world. And then I'd look across the room and she's just glaring at me. And I'm like, whoa, what? What happened? And it was usually, but you know what? Like, I grew up, I love Earth, Wind, and Fire. Okay, that's the first thing that comes to mind. I love Earth, Wind, and Fire. Grew up listening to them. My older brother, Jim, it was his favorite band. And Rosemary likes Earth, Wind, and Fire, too, to a point. But there's a moment in any Earth, Wind, and Fire listening party jam session at my house where those Philip Bailey super high vocals, it goes from 0 to 1,000 nails on a chalkboard scale in my wife's ear. She's like, yeah, this sounds good. And then all of a sudden she just goes, turn that off. Turn that off. I mean, it just happens. Yeah. And so I'd just be like, whoa, come on, man. He hasn't even hit the high crescendo yet. What's happening here? But these things happen. You just kind of work through it. And I'm like, okay, fine. It took me less than, I'd say, 2 years to recognize, I can listen to this alone and enjoy it just as much. Right. She doesn't have to love it, and I got over it.
And that's the other thing you figure out as a couple. You can start doing things in your own corner of the house or in life. On the weekend, on Saturday, it's okay if she goes and does that, and you go and do that, because you don't have to be. In fact, it's probably healthy not to be together every waking second. Mine is much, much worse than yours, Steve. Mine is air guitar. That's really what drives her nuts. And that goes back to my dad, who banned me from playing air guitar in the house because I don't just do. I go into full-on solos. It's loud. I've got rock poses. Sure. And I don't know why. I just, when I'm bored or just mulling around the house, I subconsciously, I mean, I don't even know I'm doing it half the time, and I'm playing air guitar. And now she'll just get up and leave the house. I'm like, well, she didn't even say goodbye. And just your air guitar solos were getting to me. She knows all your moves. She's seen it all before. And it was exciting. It's just like anything. You go see a band once and you love them. You see that band 10 nights in a row, it's not going to be the same. That's just all there is to it. And when that band is Brian Zepp, at Madison Square Garden in his head, there's only so many performances before anybody's going to tap out. I mean, I get that. I was an everything player. Like, I was the kid, and then I was the teenager, and then literally, like, even in my early 20s, I would still not think twice about air bassing, air synthesizing, I just would do it all. And then and I noticed it was a problem when I was air saxophoning, and went, okay, nice. I should probably, I'm in line I'm at a Denny's, and I'm saxophoning at my table, and I'm literally adjusting my arms as if I'm avoiding the table with the saxophone. You spin away from the table to hit that Baker Street solo. Yeah, you have to have the sax spin in there, man.
It's ridiculous. Spin. I could make my wife nauseous in a quick second with all the air music that was happening in the house. Candace, you're early on in a lovely relationship with a man who shall remain for his own protection anonymous. So you guys are still just like, there's nothing you guys can do to upset each other right now, is there?
Not upset, but I mean, we get annoyed at each other for things, but come on,
let's hear about some of the early eye rolls. I love this. This is great.
Well, I don't like when he's
you have a
playing,
chance.
Is this where I'm airing all my irritations, or should I call him up?
No, well, you know what? Maybe that's the second part to this segment. We'll get the, the rebuttal. But what are some things that are
it's just like things that he can't really control. Like, how men have a hard time like multitasking and listening. He likes to, play video games on the phone when we're talking about things. And like,
you can't control that.
I know, but like, just if we're gonna talk on the phone, just like talk on the phone. That's been their biggest issue.
Yeah, that's a big one because you think you can play your video game because you play it so much. I still game. I don't know what's wrong with me. But you play it so much, you can do it through all sorts of conversations. I've had conversations with my mom, and she'll be like, yes, what? What? You said yes. I said, yeah. I said, your dad's not feeling well. I'm thinking about taking him into the clinic. And you said yes. I'm like, oh, he's not feeling well? Yes, that's what we've been talking about. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And I put down the PS5 controller and start listening. But, yeah, it turns out you can't really do that. So that would be an annoyance. But
it's
I don't know
okay.
If that'd be,
It's like, you got to talk about things. And I haven't been in a relationship since, I don't know, I was 21. So it's like my whole thing is it's interesting talking about things and talking things through. I would usually just stop talking to this person and just move on with my life. But I'm in a relationship now, and you talk through things and then you don't leave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
well, guys love talking through things. There's nothing more exciting than talking through
Well, he's cool
things.
with it, and that's nice.
Right.
I mean, it's nice to have. It's nice, but it's just not what I'm used to.
Yeah, there's going to be that moment in time when you both recognize, okay, we've talked all we need to talk. Like, let's just we're going to, like I said, you're going to meet in the middle on this, and we're just going to move on with it. Zepp, how many times have you been in a conversation and at the end of a very grueling, emotionally vulnerable conversation, you hear, don't you feel better? And the answer is always no. I feel 10 times worse. I was much happier just sitting on this.
Ignorance
much happier
bliss.
just sitting on it.
Yeah, because a lot of it has to do with my behavior, and who I am. You get into a little mini psychological lay down on the couch analyzation thing, and it's like, well, good. Now I think we can move forward. And I'm like, I move forward. I don't know about you, but I feel like crap. A lot of my behaviors are really suspect. Maybe I ought to just, take my ball and, leave the playground. I don't know. Yeah. Exactly. Look what you've started. Now I'm thinking. This gets into a whole lot of things. Things that you do that drive your significant other nuts. And vice versa. Things that you actually just like to do. It's part of your behavior, but it drives your significant other nuts. That could be a conversation we need to get into a little bit later on this morning. We do have Mike Evans' Hollywood Report all ready to go. Not far off. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, February the 29th, and right now it is time for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report. Or so I've been told. Where is Michael this morning, I wonder? And here we were. Ready to be regaled with stories of Hollywood.
I can't even bring myself to do a Mike Evans impression. Hey, good morning, everybody.
Nah, we don't need that.
Yeah.
I guess we're flying blind right now with Mike Evans. That's okay. You know what? I do have a Hollywood story that we were going to discuss, and that's that the great Richard Lewis passed away yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Man, what a drag. Richard Lewis has been somebody that I've been aware of and been a fan of for so long. It kind of shocked me he was only 76, like in a weird way. But came out a few years ago and announced he had been living with Parkinson's disease. Tuesday night he had a heart attack. 76 years old, Richard Lewis. To a lot of people, like my kids, they just know him as one of those guys from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And he and Larry David, lifelong friends. Larry David's statement yesterday. Richard and I were born 3 days apart in the same hospital, and for most of my life, he's been like a brother to me. He had that rare combination of being the funniest person and the sweetest, but today he made me sob, and for that, I'll never forgive him. Man, that's just rough, man. Lifelong, dear friends. But man, Richard Lewis was the first comedian I remember ever seeing who was just so openly neurotic, and part of his whole shtick was he was terrified of death, and he was terrified. He was a hypochondriac, and he was just this open, neurotic vein, and I'd never seen anything like it. And the first few times I remember seeing him, like on the Tonight Show, I was like, I didn't laugh. I was just sort of staring at it, like, what am I watching? What's happening here? And then at some point it just dawned on me, like everything that guy says is hilarious once you kind of tap into where he's coming from. So, man, rest easy, Richard Lewis. A lot of great lot of great moments in that guy's career.
Yeah, it's really sad. I wish he could have. I kind of thought it was coming just because of his diagnosis or whatever, but it would have been nice to have him close out the season. You know, it's going to be weird watching this season now, and it's just sad.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
There was also
Jamie Lee Curtis. Sorry, go ahead, Zep.
No, it was just always that blank from hell insert. Oh my God, it was the flight from hell. It was that was a phrase coined by him. It drove him nuts. He would get on Letterman all the time and say, "That's my phrase. Everybody's saying it now, but I started it." And finally, it was copyrighted and attributed to him about, I don't know, I want to say 5 years ago, so it could have been 10 years ago.
Awesome.
So he finally did get credit for that. Whatever, when we say, "Oh my God, that was a meal from hell," or something like that, that comes from Richard Lewis's brain.
Yeah, just a comedian's comedian, a comic's comic. A guy that so many people, paying tribute to, but so many comics and comedy writers, all with stories of of how important he was for them, how impactful for him. Just a huge loss in that universe, a very close knit universe, of course. And anyway, Richard, man, Godspeed. The greatest Procol Harum fan on earth, the biggest Procol Harum fan, I should say. I met Richard Lewis a few times. He was buddies with the singer in my former band, Chris, and so he came to a few gigs. Super, super nice guy. But his favorite band ever, always, was Procol Harum. He saw Procol Harum rip every tour they ever did, and he would go deep on, Whiter Shade of Pale's great, but no, you gotta check this out. You gotta check that out. Blah, 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 blah. He was just one of a kind and a truly, truly great comic, but a huge music fan and a man who, as I said, if you wanted a lesson in a band that you only knew one song by, that was the guy to call. Do we have Mike Evans queued up now? Are we ready to roll?
We do have Mike Evans queued up. Sorry, with Tony out, we're doing a little juggling behind the scenes, but Mike Evans' Hollywood Report is all ready to go.
Hey, good morning, Brian, Steve, Candace, everybody. Tony, can you believe it? February 29th. Hey, this report brought to you, as always, by Marcus Theaters. I talk about them every day, but, folks, you got to listen. It's the best theater chain, not just in Minneapolis, St. Paul, or in Minnesota. It's the best in the country. Marcus Theaters. Well, we start off with a really sad story, guys. In my many years doing this, I have covered only a few people that I would call really great human beings. Not a lot of them in Hollywood. And right at the top of that list would be Gary Sinise, best known for playing Lieutenant Dan in the movie Forrest Gump. But Gary is so much more. For decades, Gary has been turning down countless Hollywood opportunities, instead devoting his time to helping underprivileged children, to helping the homeless, helping generate funds for wounded military. Now, back in August 2018, Gary's son, Mac, was diagnosed with a very rare cancer. So rare, it only strikes 300 people a year. Yesterday, Gary Sinise announced that his son, Mac, had passed away. Mac was only 33 years old. Great father, great humanitarian, a rarity in Hollywood, believe me. Gary Sinise, God bless him. Hey, TV news. So the people at Netflix are saying, this is the worst decision we ever made. What happened? They're talking about giving Prince Harry and Meghan $100 billion when they really didn't know what they were going to do. And so far, everything they've done has been bad. And the Disney Fox Warner Brothers sports bundle we've been hearing a lot about may or may not happen now. Apparently, there's some problems in the details. When I find out more, I'll let you know. And I thought this interesting. TV audience that don't stream. February 23rd. The week of February 23rd, here are the top 3 TV shows watched on satellite and on cable. Number 3, NCIS from CBS. Number 2, 60 Minutes from CBS. Number 1 most watched show the week of February 23rd, World News with David Muir on ABC. Hey, have a great day, guys. Talk to you tomorrow. Mike Evans, yeah.
Mike Evans, Hollywood Report right there on the KQ Morning Show. How about we take a quick look back It is February 29th. Not a lot of sports or music history on this day because, of course, this day only happens every 4 years. But in 1972, Hank Aaron became the first player to earn $200,000 a year playing baseball. That in today's dollars is about $1.4 million per year. Such a bargain. That's about 1/6 what Shohei Ohtani just signed for, by the way. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm so far off. That's 1/60th of what Shohei Ohtani just signed for. Forgive me. Unbelievable.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, February 29th. Happy leap year. Happy birthday to all the leap year birthdays out there. It is a Thursday morning, and in about 1 hour from now, I think in about an hour, we're going to give away some tickets to see Tedeschi Trucks Band, a sensational band. Last I checked, I think there's like 33 people on that stage when they get up there. It's a big band. No, always double digits, 9, 10, 11 folks. Man, are they great. They're going to do 2 nights at the Armory in August. I can't wait to see the shows, and I can't wait to give away tickets in about an hour.
Yeah, this is one of those bands, by the way, if you're going, I've heard of them, never seen them. We gave away some tickets last time they were in town at the State Theater, I think, but it was several years ago, and that listener got back to us. They're one of those bands you go, holy crap, what have I been missing? Always guaranteed 100% a good time for any KQ listener.
Yeah, Derek Trucks is the guy who Derek Trucks is, in many people's minds, the greatest slide player ever. And he would say, well, there's Dwayne Allman and all the other greats. But, it's like music is not unlike sports, which is the next generation has a leg up because whatever one person does, the next generation grows up realizing that's possible and then pushes it further, then takes it a little further. And Derek is a guitarist really without peer in a certain sense. But then again, his wife, Susan, who's one of the great rock singers in the world, is also a spectacular guitarist. And they play very different styles, but they both will take ripping solos during a show that will leave you kind of gobsmacked. And the entire band, one of the few bands out there you'll ever see with 2 drummers who understands how to actually do that right. Anyway, I'm a huge fan. Absolutely love Tedeschi Trucks. Thrilled that we're giving away tickets. And very happy to know that they're going to be in town this summer for 2 nights. A lot of good shows coming up this summer. We got the Foo Fighters coming. We got Tedeschi Trucks coming. We got Robert Plant and Alison Krauss. We got Willie Nelson's Outlaw Festival. Yeah, wow. It's going to be a hell of a summer for music in the Twin Cities and extended area, if you will. There is a woman from Atlanta. Her name is Risa Tisa. At least that's her TikTok name. Risa Tisa. And she has posted 50-part TikTok story, 8 hours long, in 50 different posts, where she's discussing a man that she married who turned out to be a pathological liar.
Yeah.
Again, 8 hours of anecdotes and stories and questions. She tells this story when they first met. This man told her he was a former college football player. Not true. He said he was a regional manager at a popular condiment company. Not true. They moved in after a month. They were discussing buying a house together. He said, I have a pre-approved loan up to $700,000, which later she found out he did have, except it was doctored heavily and it was nowhere near that much. He said he had $750,000 in cash for a property using money from an offshore account, which didn't exist. He promised her a car. She started looking into this and recognized pretty much everything this guy ever said was complete nonsense. And not just to her. He told other family members that she'd given birth to a son, she had miscarried, anything to do to collect gifts. The dude ends up having multiple ex-wives, been in jail a bunch. Everything about him was not true. And we've got a little bit of one of her posts here. And this is now just imagine this for 8 hours.
Things that my pathologically lying ex-husband lied about. Every morning he would get on the phone with his brother. He talked to his friends every day in front of me. He would be on the phone laughing, cutting up like a normal conversation. I didn't think anything of it. Every single phone call was made up. He was never on the phone. The phone calls where he called to pay his car off, made up. The phone call to the realtor when we were looking at houses, made up. The phone call to the bank for them to release the money for the house that he signed his name for, made up. Every phone call was made up. His brother, every day, he and his brother had not spoken since 2015 when his mother died.
Ooh.
He had no friends, but yet every phone call would be my friend this, my friend that.
I mean, there's little white lies in a relationship.
Yeah.
You discover almost always just somebody's embarrassed about something and they don't really want you to know. And we've all got different parameters on what's acceptable and what's not.
Right.
But this is just a complete hologram of a human being. I'm trying to think if I've ever known anybody that I would say was a pathological liar. I've heard stories from friends. I mean, I've known some people that were full of it. You know what I mean? Like,
that's
super exaggerators, super exaggerators. Listen, I never let the truth get in the way of a good story myself, but I'm not kidding myself about when I'm stretching the limits of reality a little bit. This is this is way beyond my pay grade.
Yeah. Yeah, what 8 hours of what you just heard? You're like, well, that's got to be. I mean, that's heavily edited together. That summarizes the 8 hours, right? No. It just goes on. And there wasn't a moment, a microsecond in this man's day where he wasn't fabricating and executing some lie. Now, listen, like you, I mean, maybe not like you, but, I'll fib for, to avoid punishment or embarrassment or to maintain privacy or to, protect myself or to be polite, or to get rewards. But that's the only reason I'll ever lie, for those things. No, this guy is, my God, this is a Netflix documentary in the making, I think. Yeah. And what an imagination. Someone sit this guy down at a keyboard and just start typing. There's all sorts of fictional stories in here he could be fleshing out, but it has to be a mental illness at this point. He must just be disconnected. There is no reality for him. Zero reality.
Yeah, there's compulsive liars, habitual liars, and these are people that don't necessarily have an agenda, but they were, I can look back and recognize, like you said, there's a reason you lie. Usually it's to protect someone's feelings. And then ultimately, you can have the question, but are you actually protecting their feelings? Is honesty always the best policy? If you were raised in a family where the truth could get you in trouble, which a lot of people can relate to, you learn early on to just hold on, you hedge your bets on how much information you want to share. That's not what this guy is. This guy is pathological. This is an antisocial personality disorder. This is someone who's lying specifically to get stuff they want in a very manipulative way. And that is, it's something that you don't have to be, smart people fall for these sort of people too. You know what I mean? This is not an indication of, you're just an idiot yourself, because these guys, people that live like this guy, they're really good at it. That's the thing. They develop these skills over years. Here's the 5 ways that you might, this is, experts say 5 things to think about whether you may be dealing with a pathological liar. The United Nations of red flags. Here it comes. Number 1. Right. But these are pretty simple. It feels too good to be true.
Right.
They're dazzling at first. You get into these relationships and everything's amazing, and they just want to. They're called love bombers. They bombard their partners with intense displays of affection. They listen to your radio show every morning. They tell you sound better than Steve and Brian. They talk about weekend getaways.
Yeah.
Well,
this applied, I think, to Maria and I, except not as fantastic. Just that she liked me, and I thought she's there must be something wrong with her. She must be lying. She must have some sort of motive here. She must think I can get her some concert tickets, because why else would a woman of her caliber like me? No, but yeah, it feels too good to be true, like an online scam. I got scammed recently because there was a $1,200 pair of skis on sale for $300, and I went, oh my God, these fools. No, I was the fool. So if it feels too good to be true in a relationship, probably lying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think, because I've been out. I've had very brief relationships or flings or whatever, and we're going back decades. But the first couple dates are like amazing, or you're just hanging out and you're just thinking, "Holy crap!" I mean, everything about this, we are so in sync. And then something tipped me off or made me realize, like, oh no, this person's just agreeing with everything and jumping on everything I'm saying. I'm not saying I was with a pathological liar, but I recognized, oh wait, we're already off on the wrong foot. She's just trying to be way too perfect for me. I had that happen a couple times. And the truth is, I think I've been that person too. I think there was, probably times when I was like, what do you like, smooth or crunchy? And I'd be like, well, what do you like? I like crunchy peanut butter too. You can find yourself. That's just the first example. I mean, that's not a real example, I hope, but these things happen. But by the time you've committed to someone, another thing you have to think about is, can you corroborate the stuff they tell you about themselves? Pathological liars always have a formidable resume and family history, where, like, the example is, they won't say they went to college. They'll say, oh, I went to Yale. I got my master's at Dartmouth or whatever. And they won't just say their family has money. They'll say, my family started a foundation and we support PBS stations all over the world. It's very impressive. But then you notice that they never introduce you to their family, and they don't really seem to have a lot of friends. These people are mostly lone wolves out there looking for somebody just to, take full advantage of for as long as they can get away with it.
If they say they went to an Ivy college and the diploma's not hanging on the wall, they're lying. There isn't anyone that ever graduated from an Ivy League college that doesn't hang that damn thing on the wall somewhere.
Yeah, very true. The most important thing they say, just if it doesn't feel right in your gut, if you just feel off,
right?
On kind of unrelated here, because I'm not talking about any pathological liars, but like as a parent, you're talking to your kids all the time about life and different things. The stuff that will wake me up in the middle of the night, it's not when I made mistakes, but it's when I overruled my gut. Something wasn't right. Mm-hmm. I knew something was wrong, and then I talked myself into it anyway for whatever the justifications I used. When you're going against your own gut, you're just looking for trouble. And it doesn't matter how successful on paper that decision ends up being. If it's going against what your central nervous system is telling you, you're going to grapple with it forever. You know what I mean? If you're okay in your own skin, you're going to be okay. And that's a tough thing to accept. It seems so simple, but it's really about as deep as it gets. It's pretty important.
All the time. Mostly because I have FOMO, and it's usually little things like, I knew I should have just went home and cuddled with Gigi tonight, but I'm going to go out to this party, or I'm going to go out to this go out and do this thing or see this person. And even though I know I'm not up for it, maybe it's mentally or physically or something, I'll do it and then I'll just regret it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, here's a quote from somebody who said, our body sends us danger and safety signals all the time, and it usually starts in our stomach. Oh. Are you getting more gastro issues than normal? Our empathy, check this out. I know, Candace, now come on.
That health food she's been feeding me, all that damn cabbage.
Listen to this. Our empathy centers cannot work when someone is lying, and so that shows up as nausea, indigestion, and other uncomfortable feelings in our stomachs, and they can be telling you a lot if you just pay attention. I've had a lot of that. I can remember conversations in relationships where I would be in the middle of it and suddenly I'd be like, I think I have to throw up. It just goes right to my stomach. It's because there's some obvious truth that I just don't want to face. And I've pretty much worked past that at this stage of the game. But yeah, early on, where was this information? Where was a TikTok 50-hour documentary series on pathological liars and your central nervous system when I could have used it?
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, this...
Wild.
Yeah, no, I know, and you know what? I've got more clips. We're going to keep things moving along here. I was going to play another clip from her, then I realized that I hadn't edited down, and it's just a mere 3 minutes. But pathological liars, that's a far cry from our topic this morning, though, but it plays in a little bit. What's something you do or love that your significant other hates, or vice versa? You can give us a call on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. I had a boyfriend that always liked to spit his chew in the bottle. Yeah, that's the old spitter. Yeah, the chew thing. That's something that might seem sexy when you first get together, but it gets old. Smoking weed. You know, don't get me started. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good morning. That was Led Zeppelin, of course, Over the Hills and Far Away. Jimmy Page in a bunch of headlines recently through no fault of his own, but he's been pulled back into one of the oldest controversies in rock history, and that is, did he or did he not play the guitar solo on the Kinks' You Really Got Me? And the reason this is in the news again is Eddie Kramer, legendary engineer and producer, a guy who worked with everybody from Zeppelin to the Stones to Hendrix and plenty of people in the interim. He gave an interview in Guitar World, and he said, I know the Davies brothers will say otherwise, but I recall Jimmy coming in and doing the overdub on that song. And Dave Davies of the Kinks, the lead guitarist for the Kinks, he doesn't care to hear that anymore. And he got online and said, I demand a retraction from Guitar World. I spoke to Ed Kramer. He says he was misquoted. I'm so tired of reporters getting this wrong. I played all the guitar parts. And Jimmy Page, for the record, over the years has always said, I did not play the solo on You Really Got Me. I think he played, there were a couple of Kinks songs that Page played on as a session guitarist, but not that one, and certainly not the solo. But all this to say, going on 60 years, and these guys are still battling over who did what. It just, at some point, you're just going to have to let this go, fellas.
Yeah, that's just dramatic. I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah, Dave Davies he comes off a little irascible. And he has over the years. I was just going back and listening to the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's, and one of those things popped up on my computer. Ray Davies and Dave Davies hate Sgt. Pepper's, and they came out with their own. There was a little fan zine thing in England at the time where other artists would rate Beatles records. That's how great they were. They wanted to go to the other artists in the London scene to see what they thought about the latest Beatles. So Sgt. Pepper's comes out, a masterpiece, recognized as a masterpiece in its day, and everyone from Roger Waters to Keith Richards were like, yeah, this is far out. But the Davies brothers, Ray and Dave, it's a bunch of rubbish. It's garbage. And like, good God, you guys have... that was what probably gave them their edge back in the day. No doubt. Great musicians. Ray, one of the finest to come out of that London scene, just didn't really make it in America. Huge until much later in their career when MTV came along and they went with that kind of new wave dance thing.
Yeah, they also had that weird story, the Kinks, where they were banned from touring for a while. I saw the Kinks in 1983. It's one of my favorite shows ever because it was so much more than I was anticipating.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, they got a couple songs. And then I stood there going, oh, they've got all the songs. They're one of the great bands. One of the great bands that fell through the cracks, at least over here, to your point. So here's something that's getting a lot of attention right now. Kellogg's cereal. Or as I grew up knowing it, the source of all that is righteous and holy in the world of the Gorman kitchen. Kellogg's cereal is in the news. The CEO of Kellogg's is getting a lot of blowback because of some comments he made on CNBC earlier this week. I think we've got that audio.
Some of the things that we're doing is first messaging. We got to reach the consumer where they are. So we're advertising about cereal for dinner. If you think about the cost of cereal for a family versus what they might otherwise do, that's going to be much more affordable. The price of a bowl of cereal with milk and with fruit is less than $1. So you can imagine why a consumer under pressure might find that to be a good place to go.
A consumer under pressure. He uses all the CEO terms, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think people feel like it's kind of heartless or it's ridiculous that he's, suggesting people have cereal for dinner, blah, 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 blah. I think this is all insane because I grew up having cereal all the time for dinner. I mean, not all the time, but but often enough. There'd be days in a huge family, after a full day of cleaning and laundering and all the other crap. Sometimes, mom's tired, and I'd just be like, just give me some Frosted Flakes, man. I don't care.
Right? Yeah. Go to.
It's not the end of the world.
I mean, they're ripping him on social media, for being tone deaf and suggesting that family. But, he makes a good point. It's a cheap meal every once in a while. If you're struggling to make ends meet, raising a family is expensive. Every once in a while, hey, let's have some fun. Who wants Frosted Flakes or Fruit Loops, going obviously with the Kellogg's brands here, for dinner? Why not? Or otherwise known as a divorced dad. In fact, that comes home to roost just this week because Sid the kid is staying with me, and we're just hanging out a little bit this week and catching up. And she's been making some great meals for me, or we go out and eat. I don't generally cook, but she said, "You know what, Dad, I miss your omelets." Like, can we have omelets? I'm like, well, I do have this morning job. I get up rather early. She goes, no, for dinner, like we used to. And I went, oh, that's right. I used to make omelets for dinner all the time because, you fold over the egg and you just put crap in there, and the kids like it. And the crappier it is, the better it is. So, yeah, we had cereal. Yeah, you guys, it's dinner time. You just come rolling in. Sure, grab your favorite box of cereal. It's supposed to be healthy. There's a lot of nutritional facts on the side of the box. I think it's a little unfair, but CEOs do tend to be fairly disconnected from your average person, I guess, and we do like to load them up.
Rosemary and I, as parents, we have 2 kids. I'm the youngest of 8. She's the youngest of 7, and we both grew up in houses where it was just like, look, just eat what you can, get as much as you can here. A lot of forks reaching into that bowl at the same time, and so we would find ourselves getting way too concerned if the kids were just eating garbage. And I was like, man, if the kids are having mac and cheese again for dinner, so that makes 3 this week, they're still eating a healthier, their existence just couldn't help but be healthier because there was always fruit in the house. There was always, they both liked salads as little kids. And we were like, I didn't have a piece of lettuce until I was 12.
However you can get green stuff inside a kid. Yeah. Do you want a salad? Then, because the girls were the same, too. Green beans, for some reason, were an alien offering. Right, there you go, Candace.
In fact, green beans.
I did my dad thing with Sid, the kid, one time. I said, you know what? You're going to like them. I know you think you don't like them, but you're going to like them, and I'm going to insist that you take 1 bite of your green beans. As we sat there at the table and the green beans were getting colder, and I was digging in and she was digging in, I'm like, just 1 bite. Eat the 1 bite, and whether you can both go back to the couch and start watching television. She put the 1 bite in her mouth and threw up on her plate, and I went, guess who's never having green beans again? I don't even think I'll ever buy green beans again. Well, in fact, we're just getting rid of vegetables. But she likes salads. Fantastic. I'll buy a bag of salad. Here you go. Salad up, however you get them into them. By the way, this all came as a result of Kellogg's, I guess, has been running this cereal for dinner commercial. I don't know if you guys have heard it. Still weird hearing the new Tony the Tiger voice, but he's the one pitching dinner. So this isn't just the CEO being on a news station shooting his mouth off. This is Kellogg's new ad campaign.
When I say cereal, you say dinner. Cereal.
Dinner.
Cereal.
Dinner.
Chicken.
You can have the night off, chicken.
Oh, okay, I'll go marinate.
Cereal.
Dinner.
Cereal.
That's not Tony the Tiger. Stop it.
No, I don't even care about the message. I mean, he could be telling me, that he's got a Chateaubriand for 2 with a nice wine sauce. But if it's in that voice, I'm not hungry.
No, I'm not buying it. It's not great.
I mean, of all the reasons, we've got Elvis Presley singing "Baby's Got Back," and we can't get the old Tony the Tiger voice to say cereal for dinner. Come on, if we're using AI for anything, it should be to bring back the voices from pitchmen past.
They're great.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is. There he is.
Yeah, no kidding.
Hey, if you're thinking about money, speaking of people saving money and making the decisions you have to make in a day, a group of researchers at a university in Italy, they have done a 40-year study, and they're trying to find the connection between brains, just God-given intelligence, and talent. What's the connection between that and financial success? And they've published their first group of results after 40 years. And they wrote, basically, the smartest and most talented people are never the ones who make the most money. And by never, they mean never.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going with that. I'm just
Here's
too
a
damn
quote.
talented.
Some degree of talent is necessary to be successful in life, but almost never do the most talented people reach the highest piece of success. They're instead overtaken by mediocre but sensibly luckier individuals. I guess they're saying literally, just get lucky, for crying out loud.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you have to have the work ethic? I've often, back to the kids, here we go, have said, yeah, sure, the talent and the skills and all that is fantastic when you've got it, but if you don't apply it, let's use a sports analogy. We all knew those guys. We had a guy, Tony Dunnick. I mean, just put whatever you want in his hand, a golf club, a baseball bat, a hockey stick. The guy just had natural skills in any sport, but lazy as hell, just didn't really want to show up and do much. Didn't like going to practice. Sometimes he'd even just skip games. He wouldn't apply himself. You always heard the coaches yelling at him, potential, 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 using that word with him. Whereas, the guy that busted his ass and showed up for practice, stayed late, showed up early, would sit out there and shoot 1,000 free throws before turning in for the night, was a much more accomplished athlete in high school. And I think probably the same applies. You can be super talented, maybe too talented to really take anything too seriously, but just luck, I think a lot of that has to be just good old work ethic, isn't it? Showing up and getting the job done.
Yeah, I like the definition of luck, which is opportunity meeting preparedness. You create your own luck if you're ready for it, and you got to run through the door when it opens and figure it out once you get in there. Never say I'm not prepared, or never say I'm not ready for this. No, go get ready in real time. I love all those things, but there is, to your point, everybody I know that ever made it in music knows somebody back in their hometown who just blows them away. But that's the guy who's just sitting there content to stare at birds while playing. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, dude, if you would just apply this in any application, just in any sort of direction, I've found like a lot of incredibly talented people. In fact, there are several people I can think of off the top of my head, and I wouldn't name them because it sounds like a weird thing. It's not like I'm complimenting them, but I've often said they're too talented for one person. Like when the best writer and the best singer and the best drummer and the best guitarist is all one person, it's hard to get out of bed in the morning. The reason I'm blown away by Prince is because he did anything, much less accomplished all that he did. When you have all that going on and you don't get in your own way, it's almost like, I know musicians who are literally, it's like having three people in one body, and they're constantly at odds with each other. And I used to say, like, I'm really happy that I play drums. I never wanted to learn how to play guitar. I don't want to learn how to play piano. I'm just happy doing this one thing. Yeah. Because I swear, when I look around, there's a certain level of talent where when you cross a certain line, it can be really, really difficult. There's just no straight lines in your life when you've got that much coming out of you. It's kind of counterintuitive, but true. It's like, it's very possible to be too talented, at least where music is concerned. And to your point too, when you're the best athlete without trying, you ain't going pro.
No, right?
Those are the guys who somewhere along the line wake up one day and everyone's running right past them because they never learned how to work hard, and it's a lesson you better learn early in life if you ever want to apply it.
There's the lesson, kids. Take that with it. And I would argue with Prince, one of the frustrating things with Prince, you talk about an abundance, an embarrassment of talent that man had. He often would say that, 1999, Purple Rain, those albums were iconic and they were just one hit after another. They defined the Minneapolis sound. And then he just started going off in different directions. Now, he would argue that a lot of that was battling with his record label at the time, but he has so much we know in his vaults that slowly will be released over time as all the legal issues are filtered out and as it's produced. But he never stopped recording. He recorded every day. There are musicians all over Minneapolis that you'll run into and say, yeah, I just got a call one day and says, Prince wants you to come record. You show up, he would bring you in, you'd lay down a bunch of stuff, he'd say thank you, and they'd send you a check. And you'd always ask, well, what did it show up? We don't know. But Prince got bored with just making hits and decided to go off in a direction that was a bit avant-garde for your average Prince fan like myself. And we wanted to just hear him crank out. All right, amuse us, man. Just crank out the stuff that, we want to hear. But he had so much talent. There was so much he had to offer that that bored him. That was a phase that he went through, and wish it was a little longer phase.
Yeah, another multi-instrumentalist who wrote a couple of hits in his day, Paul McCartney, had the same experience. When he left the Beatles, his first few albums, he says it like it's like the way you and I say, well, I just put on my socks that day. He goes, I just didn't want to write hits anymore. Like, I just wanted to just kind of get out there and get a little weird. And he'd have one per album for a little while. But then by the mid-'70s, once he felt like he had a proper band, all of a sudden the hits, it's not like he forgot how to do it. He was just interested in other things, which is the kind of thing you can do when you are basically the Bank of England at some point. You're 27 years old and you've already written Let It Be and everything before it. You're like, yeah, I think I'm gonna kick back and take a little break here. Tiger Woods was Tiger Woods because he worked harder than everyone else. He'd be the first guy to tell you that. Tiger Woods always said, if I had John Daly's talent, he would look at John Daly and go, if I had that guy's talent, I would literally never lose a tournament. Yeah, Nobody could ever touch me.
That's who we're talking about. John Daly here is that guy that came out and had the natural swing, could smuck it through, 350, 400 yards right down the middle every time, 100 times out of 100, had the soft shots, but not a guy that was too concerned about being the first out on the practice course or, really putting in the hard work. He just came out, lit a cigarette, with stale beer on his breath and got the job done. But, we don't talk about John Daly won't be one of the ones we talk about having won, in the greatest of the game. Yeah, he's a great golfer. He's been entertaining as hell to watch, but he didn't have that sustained career as a result of it. Although, in fact, I was just watching him the other day on the Golf Channel as I'm channel surfing. Oh, there's Daly. He's still out there swinging the clubs in that, horrible clothing, super fat and overweight. Just looks like, your average mall Santa out there swinging the club. But God, that guy can stroke the ball, just natural all day long.
Completely insane. Yeah, there was a period of time when he was on the wagon and he'd have those. He'd be huffing down a lung dart and pounding a Diet Coke every hole. I mean, the guy would go through so much Diet Coke, and then then we started drinking again. He just went right to a Coors Light every hole. The guy would play. In fact, he has said he has more course records than any other golfer in history. If you combine lowest score with most beers consumed, and and he's pretty proud of that. And by God, he should be.
I mean, if I could pick any pro golfer in history to golf with, it probably wouldn't be Tiger Woods. That would just be too intimidating. I think I'd go out with Daly. At least I think I could hang with him Coors Light for Coors Light. Maybe that's a bold statement. I don't know.
Well, who do you think's telling better stories? You know what I mean?
Right.
Who's not going to get upset when you talk while they're over a putt? He doesn't care. He's going to be saying here. He's going to literally ask you to hold his beer so he can putt in. One last real quick thing here for the people who are really, really smart and really, really talented and wondering why you just haven't made the kind of money you should. A quick reminder, if you're going to buy that lottery ticket, check your lottery ticket. A woman in Washington just found a lottery ticket in her house. It was from 6 months ago, and she had completely forgotten about it. And she thought, well, hell, let me just log on and see if this thing won. And it did hit for $135,000.
Oh,
just found a lottery ticket on the coffee table from literally 6 months. Like, I must have bought that one day. Had no idea. Doesn't remember buying it or anything. Boom, $135K. And of course, we did tell the story last year. A Florida resident last year someone did purchase a winning ticket, and they can go to the security cameras in most stores, and they can pinpoint and find out exactly who bought a winning ticket. Like sometimes you'll see a Powerball Mega Millions ticket; it's unclaimed for a while. They're not gonna, put your picture up online and go, "Hey, is this you? You have the ticket." They're not going to do that. But they can look at it and recognize, like they can say, like, "Oh, this dude here, that dude is sitting on a winner." And a guy last year lost a $36 million claim because he never checked his ticket. You just, if you're going to buy the ticket, that's a nice few seconds of your day, and you're paying $1 or $2 or $3 for it. Take a few seconds tomorrow and just check the numbers. Just do us all that favor.
Yeah, I wonder if that guy that lost out on the $36 million because he didn't check his ticket has had one decent night's sleep since,
No.
Hell, I checked. Yeah.
No, I don't even remember how we got on this once, but my wife and I were talking one day, and I compared somebody. I was talking about somebody who just every time they just couldn't get out of their own way, and I said he's the kind of guy who would win the Powerball and in celebration accidentally tear the ticket in half, like I won, and boom, and we were laughing, and somehow that led to us saying, and she said, What if we won and I tore the ticket in half? And I looked at her and I said, I'd leave you. That'd be it.
Because with
I go,
yeah.
I was like, no, I'm sorry. If you look at me and go, babe, I just won $100 million, and then tore it in half accidentally, I'm not a good enough human to say I'd stay in the marriage. I'm sorry. We were right there. We did our part. We got lucky, and you got to capitalize on the luck. I'm sorry. I'd have to.
What would freak me out about that?
I'd buy a canoe, and I would just get in the river and head south, and I'd try to get all the way to New Orleans. I would just be that guy. I would Forrest Gump it across America.
I think that's a possibility with Rosemary, since you told us the story about her fear of throwing car keys out the window, or rather just dropping them out the window. And in fact, she did that.
It started as money. It was always this thing. If you handed her a bill, she would immediately she put it in her pocket immediately, because she always had this fear of, I'm just going to throw money away and throw things out the car window. And then then the one time she did it, it was with a key fob the day we bought the car. So I said, "Oh, you got your key? Here it is." And I'm driving my new car. I'm all excited. And she literally took it and she just looked to her right out the passenger window and just threw it out the window. And went, "Oh my God! Oh my God!" Yeah, that was one of the weirdest things ever. And I hate that story. It makes me uncomfortable. So thanks for bringing it up.
Don't let her anywhere near your lottery ticket. Well, listen, we don't have a big cash prize to offer, but we got some Tedeschi Trucks Band tickets up for grabs here very soon. We'll need a couple of callers. We're playing yes or BS this morning. 651-989-ROCK. Prize provided by Live Nation. Those tickets for Tedeschi Trucks, you got to slow down when you say Tedeschi Trucks Band, August 2nd and 3rd at the Armory. They go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. Our runner-up today, Ricky Medlock, tomorrow at the Medina. Prize provided by the Medina Entertainment Center. Whew, take a deep breath. 651-989-ROCK. Dial up. Good luck and hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for a leap year Thursday, February 29th. Good morning, one and all. Tedeschi Trucks Band will be playing at the Armory August 2nd and 3rd. That is one sensational band. Two tremendous guitarists in the band, Derek Trucks and Susan Tedeschi. The first time I saw them play, I had seen Derek and his band play many times. I saw Susan and her band play many times. But the first time I saw Tedeschi Trucks was in 2010 in Boston, and they opened for Jeff Beck. And I thought, that's three of the best guitarists on the planet right now, all at the same night. It was it satisfied the guitar itch that I had for about the next 3 years. I didn't feel the need to hear another guitar solo for a long time after that one. I felt it's not going to be as good as what I just heard. So let's just get on with our live, shall we? Pretty great. Tremendous band. You are not going to see a better band anytime soon. And we've got tickets to give away. Candace, just correct me if I'm wrong. I believe we have 2 callers ready to compete in a contest.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. And today's game, Brian Zepp, is yes or BS. Is that correct?
Yep. That's
yes
what we're
or
doing.
BS.
There it is.
Yeah, the buttons today, they're all over the place. But yeah, yes or BS, and these are really just random. We just sort of cherry-picked them. There's a couple in here about leap years. Also today is National Peanut Butter Day. Did you know that? Yeah, so all sorts of peanut butter facts floating around out there. So we've just sort of compiled some yes or BS facts or BS together, and each contestant will get 5 questions. Most out of 5 wins. I don't have a tiebreaker, though. You might want to think about that. We're really shooting from the hip here without our man, Tony.
Yeah, Tony, get well soon, brother. We miss you. All right, let's do it. Candace, who is caller number 1?
We have Rebecca from Scandia.
Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning.
Are you ready to play a little yes or BS?
I am ready to play BS.
All right.
I am happy to hear that. Zepp, take it away.
All right, Rebecca, here we go. We're going to start with something from Monty Python. You a Monty Python fan? You ever get into Monty Python?
I used to love Monty Python in the 80s.
Okay, here you go. Dig back into your memory. Let's go back to the 80s here. There were 4 official members of Monty Python. Yes or BS?
Yes.
BS. There were 6 of the guys, actually. Eric Idle, John Cleese, Terry Gilliam, Terry Jones, Graham Chapman, and Michael Palin. So a swing and a miss on that one. That's all right. We'll go to the peanut butter facts now for you. Peanuts grow underground. Yes or BS?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why they're technically not a nut. Nuts grow on trees. Peanuts
Very
grow
nice.
underground. All right, yeah.
All right, Rebecca, you're 1 for 2. Well played. Back on the horse. Now let's keep it rocking.
All right, let's go with a leap day question here for you. There's no record of anyone who's ever been born and also died on a leap day. Yes or BS?
BS.
It's rare, but it has happened. But it's happened. The 8th Premier of Tasmania was born on February 29th, 1812, and died February 29th, 1880.
Wow.
So, yeah. Yeah. So, actually, you were right. It is BS. There is record of that happening because the question was there's no record of anyone who's ever been born. And all right. So, you're 2 for 3. Not bad. Let's drive on. Back to peanut butter. Originally sold as a peanut substitute for people with no teeth. Peanut butter.
BS.
No, it's true. A year after it was invented in 1894 by Dr. John Harvey Kellogg. Mr. Kellogg, coming up again this morning, tried to market it as a good source of protein for toothless people. That's why we have peanut butter.
Wow.
That kooky Dr. Kellogg. Yeah, he had a lot of nutty things going on, pardon the pun, in his head. And I believe we're 2... I know. See, that's we're here to educate. So I believe 2 for 4, and we're going to go back to leap year. If you do the math, there are just over 45 million people in the world celebrating a birthday today.
Yes.
Yeah, that is BS. It's a leap day. The odds are 1 in 1,461,000. So only maybe about 1 million people celebrating their birthday today. That's 3 for 5, Rebecca. That's pretty dang good.
That's all. If this were baseball, you'd be in the Hall of Fame. That's fantastic.
That's a passing grade right there. All right, we're going to stick you on hold and hang tight. We're going to see who your competition is here. Find out who your competition is.
Aaron from East Bethel.
Aaron, good morning.
Good morning. How's it going, guys?
Rocking and rolling.
All is well on this end, sir. All is well. Are you ready to play for some Tedeschi Trucks tickets?
I'm ready, and I'm a fellow drummer, so I'm going to try to make you proud.
Attaboy. Attaboy.
All right, I'm sorry. I missed your name when we first got started here. What was that?
It's A.A. Ron.
Aaron. All right, Aaron. Here we go. Your first question. Monty Python, over a quarter of the budget of the movie Monty Python and the Holy Grail came from two rock bands, Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, Eric Idle recently revealed the exact amounts. Pink Floyd put up 21,000 pounds. Led Zepp threw in 32,000 pounds. Total budget for Monty Python and the Holy Grail, about 175,000 pounds. That's why they were using coconuts instead of horses. They couldn't afford to rent horses. So they came up with the coconut sound effect and thought they'd just shoot them from the waist up. And then probably Terry Gilliam came up with the brilliant idea, why don't we actually just show it in the movie? All right, 1 for 1. Aaron. I'm just going to say Aaron. All right, Aaron. Aaron, yes or BS, it takes 540 peanuts to make one 12-ounce jar of peanut butter.
Oh boy. Let's go for yes again.
Yeah, according to the National Peanut Board, anything labeled peanut butter has to be at least 90% peanuts. That would be about 540 peanuts to make one 12-ounce jar. 2 for 2. You're killing it this morning, man. We're going to stick with a lot of peanut facts here today for National Peanut Butter Day. There are 32 cities in the U.S. with peanut in their name. 32 cities in the United States with peanut in their name.
I'm going to say BS.
Yeah, there's only 6. Peanut, California, Peanut, Tennessee, Peanut, West Virginia, Peanut, Pennsylvania. I want an Upper Peanut, Pennsylvania, and then, of course, Lower Peanut, Pennsylvania. For a total of 6. Damn, you're 3 for 3, Aaron. That's the tie. You can wrap it up right here with this one. The record for the farthest a peanut has ever been thrown is just over 124 feet. Yes or BS?
You know, it sounds crazy enough to maybe be true. I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, 124 feet, 4 inches. Guy in England did it in 2008. That still stands as the peanut throwing record if you want to get out there. You've got the win. You've got the Tedeschi Truck Band tickets. Just go ahead and humor us here with one more. Every 4th year is not necessarily a leap year. Sometimes we skip it. Yes or BS?
BS.
Yeah. No, it is. You're wrong on this one. 4 out of 5. Pretty good. Technically, a leap year isn't every 4 years. It's every year that's divisible by 4, unless it's also divisible by 100 and not divisible by 400. So, this is just off the top of my head.
Yeah, you lost me early in that explanation.
Yeah, 1700, 1800, and 1900 weren't leap years, but the year 2001. All right, you got all that. You know what you've got? You've got Tedeschi Trucks Band tickets August 2nd or the 3rd at the Armory. I think all of our tickets, Ryder said, were for the Friday show on October 2nd. By the way, those tickets go on sale at 10 a.m. Then it would be Rebecca with the Ricky Medlock Band tickets tomorrow night at the Medina.
Awesome.
Nice job, guys. Yeah, enjoy those shows, both of you. Thanks for playing.
Oh, man. I'm never going to make fun of Tony again for doing the game shows as a kind of a... I mean, you've got to be on your game to do a game show. To be a game show host, it's a real thing, man.
Yeah, I just learned a lot about peanuts I didn't know, and I'm actually happy to know that. It never occurred to me to ask how many peanuts are in one jar of peanut butter. But the fact that it's like 500 and something, I immediately just think, well, that means there's just billions of peanuts at all times on the planet, and that just starts to freak me out.
They're everywhere. There's peanuts.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
When did I mean, this is an honest question, and you might know the answer, you might not. When we were kids, was there such a thing as a peanut allergy, and we just had never heard about it, or I mean, am I just nuts, or did this just happen in the last 25 years?
You're right. We never heard about it when we were kids, but I mean, I don't know why it would just pop up out of thin air. I feel like when we were kids, people died or had bad reactions, and the doctor just sometimes went, well, things happen. I remember going into the clinic in Huron, South Dakota. Sometimes we would have hives or something, or a rash that we picked up on the farm, and Dr. Lee was his name, and he was, I think, 150 years old, and he would just kind of scratch his head and go, well, things happen. Put some of this pink stuff on it. Some calamine ought to clear that up. We never really got to the bottom of it. Maybe that was the whole thing with the peanut allergy. If someone can enlighten us about peanut allergies back in the day, or if this is a new phenomenon from our genetically modified peanuts that we need to grow to keep peanut butter on the shelves, 651-989-ROCK. That's talking text line. You can set us straight any old time you like.
I always heard that George Washington Carver invented peanut butter, but he didn't. The man who did was named John Harvey Kellogg.
Yeah, right.
And he developed it he was trying to help out people who were a lot older and needed nutrients, but couldn't chew meat. His thought was, a lot of older people are no longer able to chew meat and get the protein, so let me figure out how to make something that would help them. And that's where peanut butter came from.
Brilliant.
That's nice. I mean, I'm glad to think, I'm glad to hear that that there was such a giving sensibility behind the invention of peanut butter. And Chauncey Gorman is appreciative of that, because to this day, oh man, if you want to settle him down, just stick a bunch of peanut butter into a bone and throw it, and then you don't have to deal with him for an hour. It's great.
Well, minus the bone, it works with a lot of kids, just stick a spoon in their mouth full of peanut butter. That Dr. Kellogg, I didn't watch the Anthony Hopkins movie where he played Dr. Kellogg. It was a comedy, I believe, but he was a kooky guy. Of course, he came up with the Kellogg Flakes or whatever, but it wasn't that for people that experienced, what'd they say, sexual dysphoria back in the day. In other words, they were just nymphos or something like that. He thought by eating cornflakes that would calm them down. I might be getting that wrong.
I don't know, but I like it. I'll run with that. Sure. Let's just do that. Let's, because I know that, well, nothing gets me more hopped up than the thought of eating Frosted Flakes with that special someone. That'll just get me going every time.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, no. So wait a minute. So the John Harvey Kellogg, who I just Googled to say who invented peanut butter, this is the Kellogg cereal guy. It's the same guy.
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me?
And he started a sanitarium back in the day. I want to say maybe it was the early 20th century, maybe the late 19th. I'm getting this all wrong. We may have to check our Dr. Kellogg facts here. But yeah, it was a real oddball in the fact not Frosted Flakes, but just the corn flake he invented to be some sort of a boring, mushy cereal that was supposed to, calm people down, make them less horny. Again, there are people out there. 651-989-ROCK. Otherwise, we'll go to the old Google machine and we'll figure this out. And you know what else?
I'm way ahead of you. Yeah, that's right. The Battle Creek Sanitarium. I've heard about that.
Yeah, right.
Kellogg was just going for it, man. He was. There was a lot of enemas happening. Low fat, low protein, vegetarian diets, fiber rich. He was obsessed. Let's see. He was into hydrotherapy, phototherapy, thermotherapy, electrotherapy, mechanotherapy, physical culture, cold air cure, health treat. Oh man, he was offering everything you needed, except what do you call it? Reason and logic. Yeah. Wow.
Well, he came up with cornflakes in the meantime. We improved them by frosting them, of course, and peanut butter. Not bad. Those kooky people. Every once in a while, they have a good idea, but I don't.
Imagine being one of his descendants. Like you're just going about your business. You're at the grocery store, but you could just go into an aisle and look at all that peanut butter and be like, "Oh yeah, right here. You're welcome." That's my great granddad. I mean, that's actually pretty amazing. You can just stand there and go, I couldn't help but notice you're buying some peanut butter. Are you familiar with the history of that product? I would probably stand in grocery stores if Jebediah Gorman invented peanut butter back in the day. I'd make damn sure everybody knew it.
Just hanging out in the peanut butter aisle. Nothing weird about that. Either that or you'd be a pathological liar, we learned earlier. Hey, you know what? It's really easy to be cynical these days. We all just naturally, there's something comforting about just bitching. It's easy to do, right? But we have 5 stats that show that this, right now, Leap Day 2024, this is the best time to be alive in history. We're going to lay those on you here in about 15 minutes. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK, 92 KQRS.
Hello, I'm Steve Gorman.
Hey, Steve. Sounded killer this morning.
Thanks.
What up, dude?
I rested my voice all night so that I could just sound like this.
You've never sounded better.
Thank you.
I love it. Now I'm going to play some drums on the countertop here. Actually, I was just hawking one up there.
Oh.
Steve is getting situated here this morning. We did find another study that found staying optimistic is good for your health. We know that he's going to be back. We're optimistic about that. Yeah.
Hello.
And here I am. And here I was. Listen, this is the second day in a row we've said a lot of gremlins running around. By the way, I was just yapping. I came out of that song on fire. and then suddenly I was like, wait a minute. No, why? Look over here, guys. Yeah. No one can. Okay, here we are. Are we all back now? Are we all accounted for?
I know. I was doing the same thing. I had some buttons. So here's what I have. We have all sorts of brightly colored lit buttons, and you push a button. Everyone knows this. It goes green, and you're good to go. I have bulbs out. I have light bulbs out that I have not changed. So sometimes I don't know when it's on and when it's not on. And that was the game show for me. But instead, I just decided to do a shot of bourbon. And then I'll get to the light bulbs later. I think I'm doing okay. You got all the buttons pushed this morning, Steve?
I'm all set. Do you know how many great moments in human history were aided with a shot of bourbon? I mean, countless. Countless moments.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call this one a great moment this morning, but it's weird, something you do over and over again for, 36 years I've been doing radio, pounding it out, and then something doesn't go right, and I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? It's the end of the world. A button didn't get pushed. It just doesn't matter. Aren't you glad we're not your doctors? We're just goofy FM morning show broadcasters. No blood, no foul.
Look, we're doing what we can. I mean, literally, that's all we're doing. Here I am. I'm talking about the benefits of bourbon as the whole show is just going down in flames.
I'm just glad you guys aren't my husband.
Well,
I say this with love. You're not the only person that's glad about
I mean, I feel like in the bedroom I'm better with pushing the buttons. But all right. I might get an argument on that. Don't answer the talk and text line for the next few minutes, Candace. Probably someone calling to go, oh, he thinks so? Is that what you thought?
I tell you what, a few minutes ago, we were just sitting here listening to AC/DC, and all was well in the world. I was thinking about what a great time it is to be alive because AC/DC still exists. They're touring this year, and it could be a lot worse. And it's genuine. I'm feeling pretty optimistic, and I look for things every day to remind me that it's not so bad. We've got it pretty good. And check this out. As you mentioned earlier, here's 5 things to remind us all. Probably the greatest time ever to be alive as a human being is right now.
Right.
I know it doesn't always feel that way, but the average American in 2024 has way more disposable income. Put it this way, 100 years ago, 60% of our income was spent on basic necessities.
Yeah.
And now it's about 30%, which means we can waste money on nonsense.
Yeah.
Things that lead to depression and a feeling of disconnection from society, but we can afford to do that, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even when the flat broke days, when I was coming up just a little bit short, when I was thinking, well, I mean, how many overdrafts can I probably absorb here? I was still going out and drinking beer. I still had a dirt bike and a cruiser in the garage. Go to your garage. You know what? Better yet, just look in your garbage can. I mean, we are throwing away things every day that would have been considered, absolute necessities or godsends back in the day, not to mention just the food we throw away. So, it's, in fact, just go on social media and just look at all the bitching. You didn't have time to bitch like that back in the day. You were just literally trying to stay alive day to day.
That's what I mean. Yeah. We can afford to doom scroll social media all day, every day, and just get completely discombobulated by such. 100 years ago, the average family spent about 12 hours a week just on laundry, just doing laundry.
12 hours a week?
Come on.
Doing laundry. I don't do that in a month, I'm sure of it.
By the way, that says that's 100 years ago. Let me tell you what was happening 50 years ago in my house. About 12 hours a week of laundry with that many kids.
Yeah.
God bless my mom, a saint, a patron saint of laundered sheets. I mean, the woman just was relentless with keeping things clean. But now no longer necessary with the high efficiency washers and people realizing you don't have to wash everything every day. We're just doing so much better. Just the laundry alone is such an indicator. We are far more literate. But sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to imagine if we had to spend 12 hours a week on laundry. I think I'd just be wearing the same sweatpants and sweatshirt every day. You know, that would be nightmarish.
More laundry, less doom scrolling. That's the recipe for better mental health.
All right.
We are far more literate than we've ever been. The worldwide literacy rate is around 80. It's over 80%. That's astonishing, and that's really, even in our lifetime, that's gone up significantly. For younger people between 15 and 24, over 90% of the world can read and write. That is actually, I mean, no joke, nothing to say about that other than thank goodness. The more literacy, the better for everybody.
Yeah, my grandfather was a dropout. You know, never graduated high school. I forget at what grade he dropped out, but it was very common as a farm kid in central Pennsylvania at the time. He said, oh, no, most boys dropped out of school at the time. Actually, most young women had to drop out of school as well to go home and start helping do the 12 hours of laundry that needed to be done every, whatever it was, day or week or something like that. And you were expected to go to work. He said, he said a high school education was more rare than what a college education would be these days. Mm-hmm. That was just my grandfather. We're not going back to the 19th century, you know?
Yeah, pretty incredible. And by the way, just 50 years ago, life expectancy in the U.S. was 10 years less. We've gained a decade just in 50 years. In the mid-1700s, shortly before the U.S. of A. was formed, worldwide life expectancy was 29.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, man.
29 years old. We lost Candace a couple of years ago. That was a tough one. Of course, I wouldn't be talking about it. I would have been gone in the 90s somewhere. Yeah, no, and then you talk about it, and I don't want to get, too macabre, but the infant mortality rate, hey, we, had 12 kids and 4 survived kind of thing. So, yeah, now it's, we sort of take those things for granted. 79.
Yeah, so whatever's not going quite right today, just remember, this is as good as it's ever been. I'm laughing because I have 3 or 4 moments a week where I literally think, this couldn't be worse. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Oh my God, I can't believe, how can I possibly endure this? And then look around and go, oh wait, I don't have worms in my brain. I guess I got it better than a lot of people do.
Right? Yeah, I'm not losing all my friends at 29. Oh geez, I'm 31. There's no one left.
I do feel pretty lucky generally. I mean, I think it's not that I have never dealt with bad luck. I think I just ignore bad luck or I forget it quicker. I've got that reliever's mentality. If you give up a home run, you just got to think about the next pitch. I forget the stuff that doesn't work out. But the average person apparently has people say, or it is said, the average person is going to experience 543 examples of bad luck this year. That's over 10 a week. Things that will just be, oh, that's unlucky. That's bad luck. Like, for example, stepping in dog poop. I don't mean like major things, but I mean little things in the course of life. At least 10 a week. You're like, oh, damn.
That's stepping in dog poop is the worst. I don't keep shoes if I step in dog poop. There's rubber on the bottom. It gets into the pores very quickly. Have you ever had a pair of shoes and you stepped in some dog poop that ever truly lost that dog poop smell? Is that in my head? Is it just in there?
Yeah, there's something about dog poop. I have goat poop isn't so bad because they're just little tiny baby pellets. And I do try to keep my goat wearing shoes, wrangling shoes, separate from my regular shoes. Yes, but if the little gets in there, it's okay. But the dog, it's like it mushes and it gets in the crevices.
Is it about? I mean, what are we feeding them? What's in that damn food? You know, cow poop came up. We had the train that got stuck in a town or whatever, and it was filled with cow poop or something like that for a hot summer month or something like that. But that's not so bad. But yeah, dog poop, man, that's a special kind of nasty.
Yeah, I had a time. There was a time when I stepped in some dog poop and barefooted.
Oh my God, gross!
But my response was, well, this is better than on my shoe because I know I can wash my foot.
Yes,
I know.
Right.
I can. This smell will be gone from my foot soon enough. And to your point, Zep, I was like, but I have shoes that I have worn but never loved as much. I don't throw them out, but I'm aware of it. Like I had the first car I ever bought. I was in a pretty bad. A guy ran a red light in a thunderstorm, and I T-boned him. It was his fault, and he got the worst of it. But it smashed up the front end of my car pretty good, and they fixed it. But it never felt quite right again. And I don't know if it was in my head or if it truly wasn't right, but I never felt the same way driving that car. And that's what shoes that have been dog pooped, if you will, that's what I feel like with those shoes. I can wash them, I can scrub them, I can go get them shined up, and I can thin on the bottom and, at times, you get an old toothbrush or a little steel brush and really scrub. And it's like, it doesn't matter. A year later, I'm still like, I'll pick the shoe up and I'll just kind of waft it nearby. I think I still smell it.
It is still there. Yeah.
You just can't shake it off yourself. That's definitely bad luck. Unlike when a bird poops on you, a lot of people say that's a sign that good luck. They see that as a good omen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people.
Yeah, right. The person that says that's never had a bird crap on their head, which I had happen at Disney World, by the way, and with my kids having lunch.
Sure.
That's the only thing that comes up. Disney World. I think I spent $50,000. It was an entire week. Went to we did everything. The fast passes. I had the big, thick, encyclopedia book of how to do Disney World. Should have been memories for a lifetime for them. When I bring it up. Bird pooped on Dad's head at Epcot Center. That's all they really get. We could have done that in St. Louis Park for crying out loud.
I've had a bird poop fear, if you will, since I was a kid. When I was 10, there was in my hometown there was a blackbird infestation. Starlings and grackles, the two types of blackbirds that descended upon my hometown. And it was, and I'm not kidding, it was millions of them were just roosting over Thanksgiving. This is in Kentucky. And there were so many birds that it made the national news. Like the CBS Evening News had a story on the birds in Hopkinsville. And you would walk out of your house, and at all times of the day, there were just flocks of birds, literally as far as the eye could see overhead.
Man.
And as it was the autumn and the leaves had fallen, you would just hear the nonstop as bird crap dropped on leaves all around you. You could not be outside. You couldn't go play football in the backyard or play that, without getting bombed. Everybody was getting hit with bird crap for days on end. And this is true. This is a true story. And the problem, and it's even beyond being gross, there's a disease you can get called histoplasmosis, and it gets into your lungs. And you get it if you like inhale or accidentally ingest, I guess, some of this bird poop. And several people in my town got really, really sick. And some of the kids I knew got sick. And it scars your lungs. And even if you recover from the infection, then you've got a lung problem for life. And it's a real thing. And this was like, so this is 3 months after we had moved to Kentucky. And I'm just thinking, what sort of hellhole crack in the what did we fall into some weird underworld?
Yeah.
What alternate universe are we living in where you can't see the sun because of all the birds? And they eventually moved on. they were trying everything, but it was a national story. And I just remember the whole time, like, I was afraid to go outside. So to this day, all this to say, when someone talks about bird poop hits you, it's good luck. I'm like, no, it's anything but good luck. It's the opposite of good luck. It's a trauma. I mean, I don't need to see the Hitchcock movie Birds. I lived through it.
That would have been a strong component, I think, probably in that movie at the time. If it wasn't just them tearing your eyes out, but people just running from bird shat all over the place, as it just sort of rained down. Could be a remake in the works there. I like that. That sounds a bit more terrifying than some bird picking my eyes out. And I always liked them when the bird was picking their eyes out in the movie, her hands were like way out here. Not on the frickin' bird that you could have grabbed like a football and spiked it. I'm just saying, feel free to fight back. It's a bird.
I did notice, I saw the other day that the Kings of Leon are back with a new album and tour.
Yeah.
And the album is called Please Can We Just Have Fun, which I think is a hilarious name for an album and tour. Good for them. But as long as we're talking about this, of course, Kings of Leon, you have to remember the band who had to stop a show mid-concert because one of the guys was on his mic singing a backup part. I think it was the bass player, and a bird that was roosting in the ceiling over the stage dropped a load and it went right into his mouth mid-song.
Now that's bad luck. Come on, man. What are the odds?
Yeah, that's bad luck. And I mean, you're on stage and you're singing Sex on Fire or whatever it is, and then right in front of 14,000 rabid fans, boom, a mouthful of bird crap.
And it's, I mean, you will never shake that. Everywhere you go, like you just brought up Kings of Leon, released a new album. There's some things to say about Kings of Leon, the band, if you'd like. But the first thing out of everyone's mouth, or the first thing they'll think about is, remember that bird pooped in the one guy's mouth in Kings of Leon on stage? Yeah. What are the odds?
Another thing,
major bad luck.
Here's another thing on the list of bad luck, getting caught in the rain with no umbrella. That's pretty common because, you know, who walks around, even if you see the forecast, who wants to carry around an umbrella all day? I mean, that's like, when I see somebody on a day that's just overcast and they're holding an umbrella, I just think, okay, Chicken Little, like, come on, man, you got to get lucky. But what has happened several times in my life, if you're ever in New York City, back before Uber and Lyft, you just got around in taxis. I mean, it's still a cab town, but you have other options now. But I kid you not, like 5 different times in my life, I have been in New York City, standing in the rain, and there's no cabs because it's 5 p.m. at the shift change or 4 p.m. Like all the cabbies shift. There's an hour or so late afternoon where they're doing the shift change, and you can't find a taxi to save your life. And I swear to you, every time I've ever been caught in the rain in New York City, it's during shift change. And you just stand there, and then after a while, you just go, screw it. I'm just going to walk 40 blocks and be soaking wet, and I guess I got to take a hot shower. And I kid you not, that's happened to me multiple times. And
some homeless
finally,
guy
finally it dawned on me, like, wait, there's a reason they have umbrellas in hotels.
Yeah, you're supposed to grab one on the way out the door.
Supposed to grab one, yeah.
Maria, a world traveler, been to England many times. I was over there for the first time. We talked about that last October, and we were leaving the hotel on a fairly nice morning, and she grabs an umbrella. I said, are you going to tote that thing around all day? We're going sightseeing. You just want one more thing to carry? Or are you just trying to be proper English? Is that the thing you do here just for a good time? And she said, no, it's England. We're literally right on the it's an island on the ocean in the North Atlantic. It's going to rain at some point today. And later that day when I was sopping wet, because she's not a good sharer with an umbrella, you try to get under there and it doesn't really work with 2 people. But the next day on the way out the door, grab me an umbrella.
Oh yeah,
I learned that lesson.
My mom has my mom's house. There's like 6 umbrellas that are the old school big ones, not the small ones you can pack up. But they're. I'm not going to carry that around. Like, don't you have a normal fold up small umbrella? No, she has 5 bulky. Some are broken.
You could, I mean,
Well, you
could
never-
use
you
that as
never know.
self-defense. Yeah.
It's true.
You never know when you're going to break out into a song from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Isn't that
That would be
isn't
pretty
that the
awesome.
musical where they're
Yeah.
dancing with parasols? or
Well,
something?
Mary Poppins, you could do
There it is.
come on into the radio station, jump up on the table, and then float down
Yeah.
with your umbrella while singing whatever song she was singing. That'd be a nice touch.
Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. You and
That's
your
it.
big ass umbrellas walking around. Great.
Yeah, that and they have some novelty umbrellas, kind of like the canes. You can put booze in there or a sword. Just saying.
Have you ever
Yeah,
been?
that's
Have you ever
cool.
been on the sidewalk? Speaking of rainy days, have you ever been the guy on the sidewalk or the gal right next to a puddle and a car or a truck drives by and just crushes you with the splashing from the puddle? That's happened to me. I've been
Oh.
standing right there, like in the rain, and look up and you don't recognize, like, you're just walking down the sidewalk and you don't realize there's a huge pool of water and a car goes by, and I've just been completely soaked. And all you can do is laugh because you're like, man, I hope that driver enjoyed that because I didn't pay attention to where I
was the semi-distracted driver. Not too bad. I mean, I wasn't on my phone texting or anything like that, but I was, kind of punching around. I was fiddling with something with one eye on the road, and I totally did that to someone about a month ago, one of these warm winter days where we had the slush out there, and I got him. I got the dude along the road, and I caught him in the side view mirror he didn't flip me off, but he's giving me the look like, I hope you die today. And I thought to myself, I almost wanted to stop, but you don't. You don't want to make a bad thing worse. But I was like, dude, that's my bad. I feel like a complete jerk a-hole for doing that. But to be fair, just be glad I didn't jump the curb and hit you because it was distracted driving. Thankfully, he only got wet.
Yeah. I was driving my brother's car when I was in college. I borrowed his car and I was driving back to his apartment at night, and he had an apartment like on top of a garage over someone's house. So it was in a residential neighborhood, very quiet, big yards, trees, leafy little small town neighborhood. No street lights, just dark as hell at night. And I'm driving down his road, nice, just doing 15 miles an hour or whatever. And as I'm look up ahead and I see what looks like a flashlight. Like there's a light kind of flipping around and it kind of comes towards the car. And as I get closer, I realize it's a guy on the side of the road and he's holding what looks like a Maglite flashlight. And he's clearly looking for something. And he's looking for something on the road and on the side of the road. And he's just flashing around. And I want to make sure he knows not to step out on the road. It's just like a weird moment of, this guy knows I'm coming. I have headlights on, and I'm a little like just making sure it's all safe. And then all of a sudden the flashlight just fixes on a position in the middle of the lane that I'm driving on. And all this happens like simultaneously. He finds what he's looking for. It shows up in my headlights too. His flashlight freezes on a pair of eyeglasses.
Oh.
Right before I run them over.
Oh,
I mean, and he, so this guy, I don't know, maybe he was on a walk or riding his bike, or he just had dropped a pair of glasses and he's looking for them. And all of a sudden, and I just took it all in, like in less than 1 second, all of this information hit my brain. And I those are didn't have time to move, just went right over them. And I just kept driving. I was like, I'm not about to stop and get out. And I don't know how he reacted. I have no idea. I just kept going. I'm not
he's convinced, and he's still telling the story about the jack wagon. So there are my glasses right in the middle. I put the flashlight on him.
Yep.
This guy can clearly see him. He's driving. He's got headlights, and in his version, you probably swerved a little just to crush the glasses.
Yeah. And then stopped and immediately backed over them again just to make sure.
What the hell are you doing out there? You're losing your glasses in the middle of the road. What are you up to out there? No good, I think. You guys remember earlier we talked about that study that finds the smartest and the most talented people never wind up the most successful. We talked about the hard work that, you need to apply to talent and smarts and all that good stuff, unless, of course, you got a great pair of jugs. This story that you sent along this morning, Steve, I don't know who Dre Mateo is. She looks familiar to me.
Oh,
Would it be fair to say she's a B-list?
She's
She
The
was
Sopranos.
She was Adrienne on The Sopranos.
Okay, I told you guys I wasn't as into The Sopranos and the mob thing as you guys are. I did watch a bunch of it. All right, so she's in there. So if I dug into this, if I signed up on her Only account or her OnlyFans account page, because I don't know why attractive people are working at all. Because her OnlyFans story that we've got coming up here for you before 9 o'clock is mind-boggling. Maybe you contributed to it. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is a leap year, February 29th. Happy Thursday. Good morning. Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine, right there from Appetite for Destruction. Of course, one of the many records that came along and changed the world as we knew it. There are all sorts of things that turn our world upside down, change the world as we know it. And over the last few years, one social media platform is one of those. It's called OnlyFans. Are you familiar with OnlyFans, Zep?
I am just familiar with it. I'm a little behind the times these days. I used to be all over this kind of stuff, but OnlyFans. So it's basically anything goes for a subscription fee. So I can subscribe to any old starlet out there that wants to have an OnlyFans page. It may just be a mom. We heard about a police officer here in Minneapolis. I believe it was Minneapolis, but a police officer that had an OnlyFans page apparently, and she pulled someone over and he's like, I'm on your OnlyFans page. I've seen you having sex. So I know there's hardcore XXX on there, all the way down to a lady that we did a story that was selling her farts in a jar to very lonely, twisted people out there. I'm not going to just pin it on men. Could be some weirdo women out there as well that were buying her farts in a jar, which we speculated were probably just her guy friends farting in jars for her. But pretty much. and she made like, I don't know, 5 figures a month or something like that. Maybe it was 6 figures, an unbelievable amount of money. I would never ever recommend this to a young person I know, like say my kids, but in the back of my head, I'm kind of thinking of not hardcore, but just weird things. Get on there. There was a woman on there that was just literally, you know what she does on OnlyFans? Again, I haven't subscribed. I don't know. So I just get these stories through the news cycle. But all she did all day was take off her socks and put a camera on her feet while she watched TV. Men just wanted to watch her feet and wiggle her toes and cross her feet sometimes. She would itch the bottom of her foot, I guess, with with the big toe of the other foot, and that would really send them over the top. And guys were paying for this.
Well, I gotta do it. I decided I'm gonna do it because
what's your thing?
I gotta take Gigi in to get her teeth cleaned, and I called my vet for an estimate. And she said like $700 to $2,000.
Holy crap!
So
what about Steve Gorman, the dentist?
I mean, if he can do doggos,
really, is that what it costs?
That's what it costs. So I told Gigi, I said, you know what? Your mom's just going to have to start an OnlyFans. And then we had this conversation last night, and she was like, I don't know if you should do that, Mom. I don't want you to exploit yourself, you know. But
I thought you were going to say, I thought where you were going was you're going to do an OnlyFans where it's footage of Gigi having her teeth cleaned. I thought that's where this was headed.
I mean,
someone's out there wanting that, I bet.
Well, Zep, you said, so this whole OnlyFans account, it's just a woman's feet while she watches TV.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me. But text me that username.
Right.
So OnlyFans is, here's what they define it as: a British subscription-based video on-demand service and social media network. People can pay in monthly installments, one-time tips, or pay-per-view. And so it's mainly used at this point by pornographic creators, but there are other people, like a lot of fitness trainers, chefs, and even musicians have accounts, and they're offering, it's basically, you could put it up on Instagram for free, or you can charge for it. And if you have enough people that like what you do, or like you, it is a great way to make a whole lot of money. So it's one of those things. A couple years ago, there was a big controversy with OnlyFans where people said, hey man, this is just being used as a porn site, and younger people are getting involved, and you got to shut it down. And the company said, you know what? I tell you what, we're going to no longer allow sexually explicit material. They shut it down. 6 days later, they reversed it because of all the backlash. They were like, oh, never mind. We thought maybe there was enough chefs and musicians out there to keep the place afloat. That wasn't the case. But all of this set up to say there is a not an A-list celebrity, but to certain people, a very, very famous woman named Dre DiMatteo. She played Adrienne on The Sopranos. Christopher's girlfriend, Adrienne, who gets busted up by the FBI, and she's got to turn on Christopher and the Soprano family. A tremendous character, and she was brilliant on the show, and one of the most memorable TV characters of the last quarter century. Yeah. Well, she's fallen on some hard times, and this actress, who's now 52, started a online account because she was literally, as she said in an interview, she was down to her last $10. She lost a house in a flood. Her mom, she was solely taking care of her mom, who was dealing with dementia. And, there's so much money without great insurance that you can find yourself in a whole lot of trouble real fast. Her house had gone into foreclosure after a flood. She couldn't unload it to save her life. She had no idea what she was going to do. And someone suggested, well, do an OnlyFans account. You don't have to do sexually explicit stuff, but you can do titillating photos. You can do bikini shots, whatever. And she was curious and skeptical because she thought, well, The Sopranos has been off the air for over 15 years. She hasn't really done much in the public eye since. She wasn't too sure how it would go. She said, well, I got nowhere else to turn. Let's try it. Set up an account. And she says that not only did it start to make more money than she could have ever imagined, she said, I paid off my house in the first 5 minutes that my account was public.
5 minutes.
I kept putting more pictures up. She said, holy crap, 5 minutes I was able to pay back to be able to hold on to my house. She's making, it's estimated, $500,000 a month at minimum with this OnlyFans account. There are that many people who subscribe to see her photos, and there's different levels. This is kind of mind-boggling. I mean,
I don't know how racy she gets. It sounds like this one I'm looking at, that they posted some of this. Again, I'm not on her account, so I don't know. But it's her, in a sexy bikini outfit kind of thing. And it's the photo shoot. They're showing a little video of the photo shoot of her posing in this bikini. It's certainly not even X-rated. I wouldn't even call this probably just PG-13. But and of course, once I see her, I recognize her immediately. But yeah, I could see how guys... it just adds up. But I mean, she has 2.5 million followers on OnlyFans, for crying out loud.
And there's tons of stuff on here. There's a guy and a girl making a burrito bowl. I mean, you can do just about anything you want.
I've got one for you, Candace. Here's how Gigi gets her teeth all nice and shiny white with that little sparkle, the bling, the sound effect. Pet role play.
Oh.
Yeah, it is listed under fetish content, but this would be you. The creators dress up and act as your pet. So you would be Gigi. You would take on Gigi. Get yourself a little Gigi outfit. And apparently this is one of the hottest ones on their pet fetishes. They subscribe to pet role play in droves. In fact, it's number 7 on the OnlyFans counts as far as genres. It doesn't even say you have to do anything tawdry. You just dress up and act as Gigi, perhaps in your bed, and bite a pillow and bark a little bit, and you're on your way.
All right. I'm signing up.
Well, Zepp, that's great advice for our friend Candace, but do you have a replacement in mind? Because she's out of here the minute this
right, exactly. You're right. Candace didn't make it in today. I hope she's feeling okay. Oh, my God, she's on OnlyFans. Well, I don't know. You could try selling your farts in a jar.
That's been done. Something weird I do.
Here's a lady that's selling her urine in jars for $71 a pop on OnlyFans. All right.
Wow. I had a buddy as a kid who his father used to spend a lot of time in the basement. That's all I know. we went down there one time, and there were just tons of jars of urine because he didn't want to.
Oh God!
And and it was that. Oh, well, I guess I'm never going into this basement again. I don't want to know what else happened.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But now that's in the 70s. Imagine if OnlyFans had existed then, he might not have felt the need to be alone so often.
Listen,
paid off whatever was weighing him down.
Yeah, weird is super lucrative. Found it, Candace. Jenna Phillips. Jenna racks in 6 figures per year pretending to be a puppy dog on her OnlyFans page. She doesn't even have the ears on. She does have a dog collar on. It's rather cute. She's fully clothed. Not very convincing, if you ask me. Puppy dog eyes. I see what she's doing right there. But yeah, that's 6 figures because it adds up. You know, you get $5 a pop or whatever. These guys are like, oh, I'll throw away a couple of bucks and check out this pretty girl acting like a dog. I've got nothing going on this week. Wow, it blows my mind.
I mean, I'm into this because, I got some freaky looking feet. I bet you I could get some subscribers to see these arches.
Wow. First of all, if you use an idea that one of us have mentioned, and I think by just actually talking about it on the show, we're in for at least 1%. Here's a guy, Brian Gaynor, goes by Bull, consumes upwards of 10,000 calories a day. Just for people that are into the fat fetish. He just sits on OnlyFans, records himself consuming 10,000 calories a day, and he's making 6 figures a year.
Ugh.
Now, Holly makes nearly $4,000 a week sneezing and coughing for fans. Stop me when this sounds ludicrous.
Hey, Zepp, you could do. You said earlier in the show, you're a lifelong air guitarist. Maybe Zepp just doing solo after solo. What guitar solo do you want me to play? You can take requests.
Oh, man. I remember one of the first shows we did are those goofy little ideas you come up with, but you never act on. And then you find out someone else has acted on it or invented what you came up with drunk or stoned one night with your friends.
Sure.
And they've cashed out and made money. This is what we're doing right now. And people are driving along with us right now going, oh, I do this one stupid thing. I bite my nails and then I like to spit them into a coffee mug. Wouldn't that be stupid? But someone will probably pay you just out of curiosity. And all right, I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of money to be made out there.
I think you're onto something, Candace. You said you have freaky feet, and not that many people have 7 toes on each foot. So,
what am I doing with my life?
Oh, my God, you have Chauncey.
Really.
Chauncey's your moneymaker. This guy's dog, all of his organs. I'm exploiting your dog, and you want to as well. It's time for Chauncey to start giving back, but he will just sit there and blow snot, and people will watch it.
You know what? They really would. Hey, all right. Literally, thank you. You're cut in on a percentage of this. And Candace, you go in, you give Chauncey all that morning love, and that gets him all excited. You're always hugging with him and throwing the ball and giving him treats. That stirs it all up. All right, this is a team effort. We're gonna OnlyFans my dog's snotty nose all the way to the bank.
Oh man, we might end up continuing this conversation. You think that's weird? We have some weird things to get into yet here before we call it a morning. Please hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, February the 29th. It's a leap year. It is 229. Alice Cooper, School's Out, arguably, I'd say inarguably the greatest summer song ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never, ever not going to work. I heard a conversation the other day. A couple guys were talking about songs that outlive artists, that, it doesn't matter who wrote it. No one's going to care 5-6 generations later. The song will still matter. And some of the biggest artists of all time don't have those kind of songs. It's harder than you think. But Alice Cooper has one because School's Out works no matter how old you are, no matter what year it is. Anyway, nice job, Alice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, right. I mean, the equivalent to that would be like writing a Christmas song. You know, a lot of artists will come out with a
Pretty
Christmas
much.
song, and they know that every year it's going to get recycled if you nail the Christmas song. But yeah, he didn't do that. He just schools out, and it seems so simple. You write an anthem for what's the biggest thing happening to, at the time, his core demographic for listening to his music, teenage kids, and that was Schools Out for Summer. That was the biggest event of the year. Maybe you can throw Christmas or your birthday in there, but ultimately across the board, Schools Out was, I mean, I hear that song now, you know, as we're just getting ready to start March in the middle of winter practically.
Right.
And I get that feeling that I used to get when you would bust out of that building. It was always a sunny day. It never rained. It was always the greatest weather the day you got out of school.
I was 7 when that song came out, and that summer, the summer of Schools Out at the pool, lifeguards, AM transistor radio, every time that song came on, every kid at the pool just started celebrating. Like it really was, and it's an amazing thing. Like they say, write a song that someone's always going to love. Kids are always going to love Schools Out. And the other trick is write a song about a place you want to be able to vacation for the rest of your life. Because if it's a hit, then that place will always welcome you. You know, like if you write a song about, if you write a song about, like, if you write a hit song all about, like, Barcelona, you're like a patron saint of Barcelona for life. And I always remembered when the Counting Crows first album came out, and it was huge. And they have a song called Omaha. And I was like, dude really didn't think that one through.
No, but every time you played Omaha, man, the Civic Center went nuts, waiting for it.
He really should have rethought where you wanted to place an iconic tune on the map.
If you're not
to always get the love.
If you're not talented enough to crank out a tune, remember when podcasting first started, and we figured out very quickly that if me and my hunting buddies started a hunting podcast, we could, because no one was really quite sure who was listening, how many listeners you had, and you wanted to be ahead of the curve on this kind of stuff. If you have a small business, like I guess I should be advertising with or whatever it was, we came up with a podcast just called The Four Outdoorsmen. We just wanted to do a podcast, and we would call up these hunting places around Minnesota and go, hey, we have a podcast about hunting. And they go, well, come on out. We'll give you a free weekend of hunting, and you guys can do your podcast right here. Sounds good to us. And we figured out very quickly that all we had to do was load up a cooler full of beer and our hunting gear and go out to these places that are maybe listening this morning going, you guys, I think we got ourselves a little audience there for a while till the party broke up. But I know friends that did that with traveling. They just loved to travel. They started podcasting, and instead of paying for it, it was like, kind of like the OnlyFans of its day. It was just a way to get free trips.
The OnlyFans of its day.
Right.
Naked hunting. That sounds
oh
like,
my God, Steve! I'm telling you, right now, if I tell you, I'm going to get those three guys together again, and we're going to start doing some naked hunting, and I bet you that would make $1 billion on OnlyFans. I can't shake this from my head. I'm not ambitious enough to act on it, but the last segment we did, if you just jumped on for some reason, people are making ridiculous amounts of money, and not even celebrities, but just doing the weirdest things on OnlyFans.
4 middle-aged dudes naked in a tree stand, a deer stand. Let's do it.
Someone's going to watch. I'm telling you, there's just enough curiosity and weirdos and disposable income. That was another story we did this morning, the greatest time to be alive. We use about 30% of our income, the average American, on bills, where back in the day it used to be like 90%.
Yeah, sure. It's a great time to be alive. It's a great day for the small percentage of us who are leap year babies. If today's your birthday, 229, you've been dealing with your whole life. Sometimes it's not so awesome. Like, you go to the DMV and get a driver's license, and then you go to a bar, and the doorman goes, "That's not a real license." It's only 48 days in February. You hear about stories like this happening. It still happens. Yeah. You turn 21 and you're all excited, and it's like, no, you're not coming in here. Facebook, in the past, Facebook has ignored these birthdays. They do send out alert nows, but it took years of people saying, hey man, Facebook alert, you used to get the birthday alerts. They just jump right over it. There's a website called famousbirthdays.com, and if you go there today, it's February 28th. They didn't even update it for today. You got to Google it extra special. So all I'm saying is, if today's your birthday, we're going to acknowledge you. Happy birthday. And we're not the only ones, okay? Chipotle is offering free guacamole today. Well, if you're a member of the loyalty program. Taco Bell has a crunch wrap for $2.29. The date, $2.29. There's a lot of things going on. You don't even have to be Elite Baby. However, Krispy Kreme, if you can prove you were born today, you get a free original glazed dozen donuts from the Krispy Kreme people. So, there's some good things happening today. Sure. And then this is the one I really wanted to get to. Wendy's is offering customers a free Cinnabon pull-apart today. Wendy's is offering free Cinnabons. Wendy's, the same company that just got crushed a couple days ago because they announced that they were doing something called surge pricing. Word got out. The CEO of Wendy's said they would boost profits by introducing digital menu boards that could display, quote, dynamic pricing that fluctuates throughout the day.
God, remember when dynamic was a great word like just 1 month ago, or actually before Springsteen went on tour? Yep. Now it's an evil word. Dynamic price at a fast food place. When it gets busy, they're going to jack the prices.
It's insane. And then he also mentioned AI-powered, quote, suggestive selling. So, of course, Wendy's customers were furious. And now Wendy's goes, no, you're taking it wrong. The digital menus aren't going to raise the prices. It will reduce the prices. And so, and here's the quote, we wouldn't raise prices when our customers are visiting us most. This could allow us to change the menu at different times of day and offer discounts. So what they're saying is during the slower times of day, they'll offer discounts as opposed to during the busier times, making it more expensive. I'm not buying a bit of it. I'm also not buying any Wendy's. I can't remember the last time I had a Wendy's. I mean, I'm sure they're good people.
Yeah,
and I used to love that chili back in the day.
Right. It's just, it's where you put the fast food place. I don't discriminate. I'm literally getting the fast food because it's the most convenient. If it's a McDuck's or a BK on the corner, that's where I'm going. There are some exceptions. Every once in a while I'll get just latched onto a particular sandwich or a taco, and I've got to get it at this fast food place. But yeah, now that you mention it, Frosties. I like the Wendy's Frosty. I mean, if I'm I'm in the neighborhood. Yeah, right. That's good. But yeah, the dynamic pricing. I have a feeling that.
I can't tell if Candace is excited or repulsed.
I love Wendy's. I was about to go there today because I just saw a commercial. You get like a bag full of stuff. For $5.
Are you setting up an OnlyFans account while you're on the air, Candace? You do that on your
time. Yes.
I tell you what, an OnlyFans account of sloppily eating Wendy's. You just it's spilling on your shirt. A pickle is in your hair.
I could probably do some stuff with not only Gigi but those goats. I could probably figure something out.
I would watch goats eat Wendy's chili all day long.
Would it be weird for you, Candace, if people you knew or coworkers even were to subscribe to your OnlyFans page with that?
Yeah.
Can the OnlyFans, can they see? I mean, is there any, like on social media, like, hey, it's Bill Berditzman following me, not the guy in accounting I work with. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
I don't know. They can keep that anonymous or not, but yeah, if you're feeding your goats Wendy's, let me know.
I'll send you an invite.
Yeah, thank you. I might use some of that disposable income of mine. Look at those little critters get after that Frosty.
I tell you what, I'm all for it. And I was just, when I just mentioned sloppy eating Wendy's as an OnlyFans, when I wasn't with the goats yet, I was just thinking about maybe Candace doing that. It did remind me, we missed this story, 5 very important things we should all stop doing in the shower. Okay?
Sleeping with my neighbor's wife?
Get your mind out of the gutter. I knew right where that was going.
I knew it.
This is here's 5 things we got to pay attention to.
All right.
First on the list, stop. It says washing your face. Stop washing your face in the shower. Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously it saves time. You're already in there and you think, what's the problem? But apparently the facial people, the skin people say water that you shower in is usually hotter than the water you're going to wash your face at the sink, and that high temperature contributes to your skin drying out faster.
Oh. Well, that adds
come
up.
on, I'm not.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Get out of the shower and then wash my face,
That's
or wash my
crazy.
face before the shower? No, I'm ignoring that one. Okay, here's something else.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Now what?
Well, I just had a buddy speaking, and we were talking about hunting earlier. We're on a hunting trip, and he just blurts it out. Forget what the topic was, but he goes, I've never washed my face in my life. I'm like, yeah, you've washed it. You've splashed water on it. You've got soap on it. You've washed your face in your lifetime. He said, no, I purposely don't want to ever wash my face. It was a little kid, got something weird about getting soap in his eyes, so he's never washed his face. It's weird. I don't know. All right, sorry to interrupt.
And this is still someone you know, and you still continue to have this person in your life.
I did put my readers on. I'm like, how many blackheads you got on that face of yours right there? But I don't know. He gets away with it, I guess. I suppose if you rinse it in the shower, is that enough?
Here's another thing you got to remember to do. Wash your feet, for God's sakes, you heathens.
Oh. Yeah.
It's not enough just to let the water and soap run down your feet. You got to scrub them as well.
Scrub them? Scrub?
Scrub your feet, Candace.
Don't you ladies have special tools for that? A foot scrubber or something?
I don't really do that.
You just let them rinse off?
Well, Candace, do you rock a loofah or any kind of a sponge in there?
Yeah.
Because if so, you got to wash them, you got to air dry them, and you should really change them out a lot more often than you think. It's a breeding ground for bacteria.
Oh, my God. Well, I have, now that you mention it, the sponge that I got for my birthday last year is still in there. It's shaped like a shark.
The sponge you got for your birthday. Someone went all out.
No.
A soapy shark,
but I probably should toss her out, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, is your birthday coming back around? Maybe you're getting a new foot sponge this year.
That's really funny. How about this? Do you keep a razor in the shower?
Yeah.
Also a bad idea, apparently. All those little nooks and crannies bacteria can hide. I mean, come on. If you walk into the shower and if you're not overwhelmed with a mildew smell, it's fine. Just
yeah. I think every woman I've ever known has kept the razor in the shower. Yeah.
Yeah, also, and this is the final one, and this is really ridiculous. It says stop taking really hot showers because it dries out all your skin. And now apparently cold showers are really beneficial to your health. A quick blast, even a quick blast of cold water, can potentially improve your immune function. It can increase your metabolism. It can increase the amount of stress you tolerate and possibly help you lose weight. If that's the case, why does hot water even exist?
Yeah.
I'm saying if cold water can do all that, why did anyone ever come up with hot water in the first place?
I don't know.
I guess those polar plungers, the polar plungers have a little bit more going on than I realized.
I thought for sure you were going to say, I thought you were for sure going to say stop peeing in the shower, but that's still a go. It's okay to pee in the shower. That doesn't have any detrimental health. What if you pee on your feet? Because isn't urine supposed to be somewhat sterile?
Yeah, if I read something that says stop peeing in the shower, I just delete it before I take it. That ain't gonna go away.
No,
that is not stopping. Hey, by the way, great news for Minnesotans. Okay, and here it is. Think about this: a survey of hostel workers in Europe, a bunch of different European countries. You have youth hostels where travelers can go stay for real cheap. They surveyed hostel employees, and they asked what the sexiest American accents were across Europe. And Minnesota came in 7th.
What?
The 7th sexiest American accent.
Really? So that's where it's sexy in Europe. All right. You don't get that as much in the United States. It gets mocked here in the United States. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're having trouble on Tinder, then the answer is Travelocity. Apparently, go to Europe. Number one sexiest accent to the European ear is, of course, the Southern accent.
Yeah,
Now,
that one always wins. I want to battle it and say, oh, it's not sexy at all. Now, look, this Southern hick, obviously, that's not it. But there's something about, I remember going to Puerto Vallarta. We're staying in a little hotel, and there's a restaurant on the top floor, and there was a bachelorette party from Georgia. And Brian, the way they say Brian, I can't do it. In Georgia, I want to hear a Southern woman say my name every day. But now, Brian, I was like, oh, man, there's something about that accent.
As a Southerner myself, when I hear Southern accent, I think, well, that's like 46 different accents. Which one are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
But the genteel eastern coast of the Southern accent, the Carolinas and Georgia. Just picture a bow tie in a courtroom setting. That works forever. The esteemed gentleman. No, the situation we have on hand, like that goes. But then,
grabbing his lapels, and
then when you add in the aging Southern woman, just who's just seen all the crap and doesn't care anymore, and she's just gonna sit there and have that second glass of moonshine. That accent works.
All right, now what about the East Coast accents, the Northeast Coast accents? Do they show up as sexy in Europe, or are they just as they drive them as crazy?
New York came in at number 2, which that's more of vibe than the accent. But then number 3 is Boston, Boston accents peel paint no matter where you are on the planet. It's just
get a car, get a beer.
Oh, it's just the worst. And then the rest, who really cares? I mean, as long as as long as we all agree the Southern's the one.
You got a lot of Scandinavians there in Europe. Sure, it would play out. It sounds familiar and colloquial to them, I suppose.
Certainly did. Oh, by the way, in case anyone didn't hear this, Richard Lewis died yesterday. He was 76 years old. Richard Lewis, a mainstay of what I view as good comedy for many, many years. My kids just know him as the guy in Curb Your Enthusiasm, but of course I remember him going back to the Tonight Show in the 70s. Just a hugely influential comic and a very impactful comic, and by all accounts, just a wonderful man, the kind of friend you want. I met Richard Lewis on a few occasions, and his favorite band of all time was Procol Harum, and he would talk about Procol Harum at great length and discuss all the live albums he had. It was great because it was very real. He was very passionate about Procol Harum. So that's kind of a bummer because, man, that guy made me laugh as much as anybody over the last 40-something years.
Yeah, and I was listening to some of his stand-up stuff. I saw the news last night, I guess, and so this morning I'm listening to some of it, and I forgot how many times he was on David Letterman. 48 appearances, by the way. But what I forgot was the most on the show except for Marv Albert. Remember that weirdo? But anyway, Richard Lewis, he genuinely made David Letterman laugh, which, as you know, not a lot of people could just automatically make David Letterman laugh. And, of course, he had that fake laugh as well. But I think Richard Lewis naturally brought it out of him.
I used to sit around the table with all the relatives. They used to put me down in harmony. It was like really an embarrassing thing. You'll never make it, kind of thing. I try to relax. I'm back home in L.A. I'm taking a slam dancing course at the Jewish Community Center now.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
I have a helmet on, like a skull cap helmet, like a batting helmet if I fall.
That's good.
I feel like it's enough to go to doctors with all the money. I had to bring a gold bar last physical. That's how much it cost me, And I don't want to bring that specimen in. I'm embarrassed at home. I put a little hood on when I do it, and I feel the nurses are in this conspiracy. I give them the little jar. And she says, "Is your name on the bottle?" I don't know. Your name is Chunky Skippy? I don't know.
Man, fantastic. Rest easy, Richard Lewis.
Yeah.
That's a loss right there. Let's look back. It is February 29th, and, as you may expect, not a whole lot of things happen on February 29th because we only get it every 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But on this day in 1964, the Cincinnati Royals, an old basketball team in the NBA, Jerry Lewis and Oscar Robertson, teammates, combined for the ultra-rare 40-40 game. Oscar had 43 points. Jerry Lucas had 40 rebounds. Nobody's come close to 40 rebounds in forever, although Dennis Rodman famously had that as his life's goal, 40 rebounds in one NBA game. And in fact, he always said, if I do it, I swear to you, as I grab the 40th rebound, I will take the ball, run off to the I will run out of bounds, immediately disrobe. I will strip butt naked and run off the court with the ball in my hand, and I will never play another minute of basketball. And it never happened. And I don't know how that didn't happen, because surely the rest of the league, you would have thought they'd just be giving him rebounds.
Yeah, no kidding. I'd just say, give him the lane, man. I'd be chucking up bricks if I was on his team. I'd just want to see if he'd do it. There's no doubt if he had
he would have done
40 rebounds. Oh, yeah, he would have done it. Yeah.
He would have absolutely done it.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.